So apparently you're watching Shakers live from downtown Cape Girardeau, or whatever this thing is.
You
Sessions
said
from Shakers.
You pulled a Derek. Nice.
Hey, yo, look at that. Everybody put the things up and do the thing. Yay.
Want to do the show. Nope, that's two.
Nope. Eric is horribly late. He's a great boss. We love him. I'm making my best convincing face right now. Is everybody watching right now?
Oh, no, we're back to just the logo of Shakers.
Mine showed up.
I want to be on the show. Can I be on the show?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I'm going to sit back here out of the way then.
Okay,
I just
fantastic.
don't want to be on camera. All right. You guys could have done this without me.
Well, I mean,
Don't need me.
We can barely do it with you, man.
You could go home, but the show might not be the same one you wanted.
All right. There you go. Party time. Episode 19.
19.
Look at there. 19. We were just talking about that. You are watching Session, stream live from Shakers Bar, downtown Cape. I'm sorry I'm late. Get family stuff going on and try to get here on time. But here we are. So, guys, how are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for asking.
How was your week?
Tonight.
How was your gaming nights, Cody?
Tonight. It's late.
Oh, it's tonight?
No, I won't be back out till tomorrow.
Okay. What about you, Link? How's things?
Yep. I got a
Good?
jury trial Tuesday.
Nice for you. Do you mentally key yourself up for that? I mean, is there
On
a prep?
Monday night.
Do you?
Yep.
Do you get in the mirror and like go, let's go? Or how do you, is there,
It's basically about a 5-minute conversation of don't screw this up.
okay, so I'm being silly, but I'm being kind of serious at the same time. I always kind of wondered in that type of situation, because there's people depending on you, especially in your case where you're a prosecutor. I always wondered, do prosecutors give themselves little pep talks? Let's go. Slap themselves in the face.
It's really
or-
weeks of preparation, and there's a moment of just do what you do. Okay. That's it.
So you just kind
Well,
of
for me,
settle back into what you know you can do and don't overthink it.
Yep.
Well, that's good. That would be my problem, is overthinking the case. I would try to think through all the ins and outs of it.
You have to.
Yeah.
But you have to do that before the day of.
Well, that's true. Yeah, preparation. Preparation.
Hey.
So, Zach, how are things for you? I know you've been busy at work.
I have, yeah. Work's been busy, but right now I'm just at a very climactic point in a video game I'm playing.
What video game?
Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah.
I've been hesitant to
So,
get it because
Zach-
I've seen both
So
sides
first off,
of it.
it's canon, just so you know.
Okay.
So it's current story, and I'm at the end game now. And the boss battle, let's just say he has some breathing problems.
So can you explain in a brief way of what it's like to be at that level in a video game? Because I've been there before. I know what it feels like. You can't get it out of your mind, can
Yeah,
you?
no,
And it's
not at
stuck
all.
there, right?
It's there.
So
Well, it's no different than reading a great book or watching a great movie, I'm sure.
yeah, I think it's the same
Sometimes
thing.
it's more immersive because you actually feel like you're part of the story. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It really is.
Yeah, speaking of immersive, I've been playing the Oculus and loading games at home, and I brought it tonight, and I'm going to show you a game before you leave if you got time.
Yeah, sure.
But this game on the Oculus VR from Facebook owns this. It's so immersive. You're completely surrounded in the game, so you're basically in the game. So they have a Vader, Darth Vader game in there where you go on an adventure and you know.
Oh yeah, I was reading about that.
Yeah, if you ever want to do it, it's loaded up. You can try it before you go home. It's really cool. But anyway, I was just thinking about that. I know that you and Cody are pretty big gamers, and I know Lawler, when you have some time, you try to do it. I haven't really played any PlayStation games in a long time. I loved Just Cause. That was one of my favorites. And I was a big God of War fan.
There's not a lot of
you
games.
never-
you
never
can
played
strap a
Uncharted?
grenade in a-
I loved Uncharted. I actually have Uncharted. They made another one for PS4. I haven't played that one, but I played the last one for PS3. And it used to
The
used to
one
be
on
so,
PSP was the best.
was it?
Yes.
Abyss. That was Abyss, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I don't remember which
I think
one
it
it was.
was, but yeah, Uncharted was really cool. And Uncharted, I love the RPG where you're playing a role, and you're Nathan Drake, right? And your uncle was this explorer and just
Sully.
Yeah, Sully.
Who's going to be played by anyone? Mark Wahlberg.
Really?
What?
Yeah, live action movie. Mark
Wait.
Wahlberg's playing Sully.
I'm good with that.
How is that? Sully's like gray haired.
It's Mark fucking Wahlberg.
I don't care.
Hey, he can
It's
make a
Mark Wahlberg.
hamburger. He can play a gray-headed guy.
I would have rather had
that's his
Keanu
brother.
Reeves.
Well,
Keanu
Don't
Reeves would
you
have
see
been
my
made.
movies?
Right? How's your mother?
How's
You
your
know?
mother?
It's Mark Wahlberg.
So, but anyway, we do have an important. The last part of the show tonight is about PTSD and soldiers and suicides with returning vets, and so we're going to talk about that a little bit. My buddy Ross, I've actually contacted him this evening when I was here at the bar earlier, and he's actually very involved with local charity, Heroes Way, I believe, and he's seen lots of combat and he's had buddies next to him perish. So we're going to revisit this night. We're going to do it in a different way. We're going to do it with him on board so we can kind of get into it. But we're going to talk about it tonight, the information that I have and that we're going to talk about. I'm a disabled vet, so I think we can maybe lend some. I've got a phone number here for people, and I want to let them know that there's help. And I know that there's resources that they're given before they get out of service. But it's easy when you get out in life and you forget. And if people don't understand what it's like, you kind of lose sometimes you lose your support system. And so we want to at least, if that's all we can give somebody.
It's especially important for older vets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, especially. And that's a good point. Like a lot of the older vets, the guys from Vietnam, and there's a few Korean War vets left. These guys, well, Gulf War II, I guess you'd say older. That's my war, but they looked at things a little different. I will say though, the Gulf War, coming back from the Gulf War, we were very appreciated. There was very little, because we were helping the folks of Kuwait,
Right.
and so
Dad's got an honorary medal of Kuwait.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
in Desert Storm too.
Yeah. Oh, was he? So we helped. Saddam invaded Kuwait, and we went over to help Kuwait. So we got a lot of appreciation through the world because we were protecting a kind of a less, I guess the word would be a weaker people. Weaker meaning military and power. And
Certainly smaller in number.
Smaller in number, yeah. And Saddam was big at that time, and so. But anyway, we're going to get into that in the last hour and hopefully help some people out and just kind of bring something to light. There may be somebody watching that really has never talked about or even been interested in talking about this subject, but that's what we do here. We try. That's why we do the show, is so we can bring stuff up.
Day late, buck short.
By the way, I'm drinking the Leinenkugel Snowdrift Vanilla Porter.
It's all right.
It's pretty good. I like the flavor in it. I usually don't drink very often, but every once in a while I have a beer. It's pretty good. Bailey said it's one of her favorites, so I'm going to try it out.
Gotta try the
There's
the
summer
winter
shandy.
grind. The winter grind is phenomenal. It's like a seasonal coffee stout. And then
Really?
Public House Giddy Goat is the kind of same thing, and they're both
Based
really,
on the
really
name alone, I will drink it.
Yeah, Giddy Go. That sounds good.
Their summer shandy's the best one of those.
I
good.
do.
Like,
I do love
I like
summer
the
candy.
Sunset Wheat.
Yeah, that's
Tastes like
also good.
Fruit Loops, dude. It's delicious.
Leinenkugel is from, I believe, Wisconsin or Minnesota, one of those.
Yeah, it's up there.
It sounds
Big area.
appropriate.
It's really good beer. They have really good quality beer, Leinenkugel. So if you guys are looking for a great beer of different flavors, they have really good seasonals and standards and stuff.
So anyway, if you want to get sponsored, hit us up.
We gave
So,
up on Screwball. Now we're
right.
going
I wanted to put a little props out here. We've never done this before, but they're right in front of Lank. That is the 360 vodka, I guess you could say celebratory vodka for the St. Louis Blues, and it's called the preferred vodka of the St. Louis Blues. But we're not
Beat
sure.
out Pearl for that.
Did it?
Yes.
Okay. So I picked up a bottle, just kind of had it on so people could check it out. But it's a signature. I'm not going to open it. The only ways I'll open it is if the Blues win it this year again. I'll open it. We can drink it. And then our Dundee Award. We're always referencing office things on here, and Spencer's had that, and I had it sitting over on the cooler there for a while. But I thought, I'll bring it out here just for the heck of it because we're proud of ourselves. We give ourselves a Dundee.
Michael.
Which bear is best? So, if you are just finding us, if someone has introduced you to us, this is Sessions, and we do this every Thursday from 8 to 10, and we talk about all kinds of interesting stuff, and sometimes it's not interesting, sometimes it's just me blathering on and bringing you guys along for the ride. So, let me get my plug-in here going, and we're going to get on with some topics. You guys got anything you want to talk about? Tell us about your game night stuff. What do you do on your game night?
Usually we play Hero Quest until we get all the quests done. Then we're probably going to switch to something else. But tonight we're a member short, so we're playing Drunk Quest, which is a
Okay, so
different
what's
game.
Hero Quest?
It's
Give us a
basically-
brief.
It's super easy to explain. It's basically a tabletop version of D&D.
Okay.
Actually, an old game.
Yes,
Ain't it?
very old. It's in the
91?
80s. The 80s, actually.
Is it
Yeah.
80s? Wow. Okay.
So is it? So the quest, you have like an hour and a half, an hour.
They
or
usually
something
last
like that?
about an hour or so,
Okay.
depending on how thorough you are.
Okay, cool.
Milton Bradley made some good shit back in the day.
Oh, that's cool.
It's fun,
All
man. It's a fun game.
So you do that every Thursday after the show.
Every other Thursday, yeah.
Every Thursday. Okay. All right, that's awesome.
Should be fun. Tonight, like I said, we're playing Drunk Quest, so I'm definitely going to be blackout drunk by the end of the night.
Okay.
So I'm looking
Well,
forward to that.
at least you're mentally prepared.
Oh, yeah.
Like Matt prepared for court. You're prepared for your night of gaming.
I'm just thinking of Fallen Order.
Yeah. I thought you were. What was it? Pokemon this last week or the week before?
No, I'm still on
You and
Pokemon
Cody
too.
were like pumped up about that.
I wake up
Still
early
pumped.
in the morning, I play Pokemon, and then I get off work and I come play Fallen Order, and then I play Pokemon before I go to bed.
Fallen Order. Is that?
That's the name of the game.
So
Sorry, name of the
we're
game.
talking about after episode 3 where Order 66 was.
the fact that you had a question
Given
if it
out.
was Order 66, I
And-
don't know if you're qualified to speak on this.
Yeah,
I'm not at
probably
all.
not. And so the Jedi Order has been basically eliminated except for a
Purged.
select few.
Okay.
And this guy is one of those people that's in hiding, and he gets found, and there's your
Okay,
story.
cool. All right. So, I will say this: one of my reasons for having you guys on the show is each one of you bring a vast amount of knowledge about some niche things like Star Wars, and I don't know. Is anybody on here a Trekkian? Oh, Star Trek too. I'm not.
I
Trek.
get Star Trek from my aunt. My
Although-
aunt was a huge
You ever
Star
see that
Trek fan.
episode of Futurama where they go to that planet and it's they have the whole cast of the original Star Trek assembled, and Fry
No.
is like, I'm the smartest person about Star Trek. I'm that guy right now.
Okay. No, I don't. Honest with you, I watched Star Trek growing up because it was the only thing I could see on TV, on KFES or CBS or whatever. That's the only thing I could catch, and it was on like
So you were a
Saturday
Shatner guy
nights.
then.
Yeah, I was forced into it, but
I'm Picard.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm
Cisco.
kind of the same way. I only like good
Oh,
science
I
fiction.
respect that.
I've watched that.
didn't hear
I
me.
watched that
That's
series 7
That's
times
nice,
in
okay.
law school.
I won't let you
Yeah,
make you
that's
repeat
nice.
it. So having you guys on is good because I learned stuff from you guys about video games and gaming in general, and I had
We can show you the world.
there's a lot of music knowledge up here and movie knowledge. So you guys, and I will say this, I know a lot about movies, but you, my friend, are a next level.
Dude, I love
You
movies.
study, you know the directors, the writers, the producer. You're one of those guys.
Yeah.
What do you call it, cinephile?
Cinephile,
You
yeah.
are a definite cinephile. Speaking of files, have you seen the pictures of Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico mansion? They have 24. It's on the UK Daily Mail, and there's 24 pictures of this mansion, and it just kind of everybody's fascinated with where he lived and what he did. One of the house caretakers, there used to be a picture right inside the main door of Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein posing with 2 underage girls in a painting. So somebody actually painted, not a portrait, but a painting. So
That was duration.
yeah, so that's not there any longer, evidently. But there was an underground club. There was an 8-person shower. Just disgusting. You know, when you think about what he was doing. If it would have been just a house, and you never knew. But could you imagine? You move to New Mexico. Say Cody's like, I'm going to New Mexico. Never knew anything, and he wins the Powerball. And he goes to his real estate agent. And he says, Hey, Martha. I just came up with the name Martha. Martha, the real estate agent, said, Hey, Martha, can you show me a 24-room house on like maybe
When you do Martha's
400
voice,
acres?
can you do her like North Dakota, Canada?
like
the old Fargo voice.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know,
South Dakota.
I think it was Canadian.
That's kind of the same
I guess,
though.
yeah.
If you ever hear the certain Canadians, and there's a
Oh,
certain
you betcha.
there's a certain region in Canada
Sorry.
and North Dakota, like Fargo area, and Minnesota,
Minnesota.
that they all kind of talk. It's that central northern
Yeah, we
area.
fuck
there.
They
Close.
talk more
And then I
Canada
went
than
back to Bone
Canada.
Her,
They
where
do,
she said
really.
The mosquitoes
Yeah,
were
so
too
too
bad and
bad.
there was no way.
There was no way. Play your ukulele. So, did we score? Let's go, Blues.
Monroe
This be a shot.
said an 8-person shower is kind of fucked up anywhere outside of a locker room.
Well, but this is also
Or military.
military. Yeah, military was more than that. It was just a big open bay.
It's Pareko.
But imagine you go and you move in. You're like, hey, I want to see this house, and she takes you out there, and you're like, oh, babe, this is perfect. And it's it's well within our we won
have
100 something million.
a
and
spouse of some
and you
sort.
move in.
She's a butterfly
no,
collector.
we're gonna say he's a
and
bachelor.
he
He's a rich
collects
bachelor.
bones.
Cody's a rich bachelor in this movie.
We can dream, right?
And he moves in, and of course, everybody wants to know who the new guy is. They're all coming out to visit. And one day, some gardening guy goes, "Hey, listen, I don't know if you know this or not, but you're waiting for an accent, aren't you?"
You're kind of doing one, but
Yeah.
it's like you're like, hey man.
I'm trying to get you
wanna
to
hit
guess,
this?
man. Trying to get you to guess,
That
man.
Jamaican Minnesotan.
Yeah.
So-
I was thinking more of like a Mexican Minnesota.
There you go, Mexican Minnesotan. He said, "Hey, man, do you know who used to live here?" And you'd be like, "No, who? You know that dude that didn't kill himself? That guy, Epstein? Yeah, this used to be Epstein's house."
I was thinking more like you open the closet and find like a mural of like him with like, I don't know, like a mountain of underage girls. You're
Oh
like,
my
oh
God.
shit.
At that moment, he realized he fucked up.
Who would be the first person you'd call about that? If you,
Not Hillary Clinton.
No, not Hillary.
I hope I'm at least in the top
I love
10
it when
on that
I don't
one.
have to make the jokes that I'm thinking about. I appreciate you.
Well, Cody has promised me that he's going to be a little more outspoken, so I'm glad.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't know you did.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You know,
Drink
I'm
some
talking
more.
about-
If you win the Powerball, you're buying Epstein's mansion. If
we all got to go have a party there.
Hey, if I win the Powerball, I'm paying him to pack my cigarettes.
It's true. I do pack a mean cigarette.
He does.
Yeah.
Good job.
He does, man. He packs
What? I
them.
think we agreed on $1 million just to follow me around, pack my smokes.
Yeah, $1 million.
Here's $1 million bucks, pack a pack.
You hear
of
what
smokes.
rappers pay people for? Pick out tennis shoes.
Logan White,
lace
NC
them.
State doesn't have any money.
Yeah, exactly.
He paid his posse like thousands of dollars a day just to hang around him.
All right, Jay, what are you wearing tonight, buddy?
With a black craft shirt.
A who?
Yes.
Nice.
Okay, throw that in there. Let us see. That's a good one. Is that Edgar Allan Poe on there?
Show is.
That's Poe.
They had like a special deal or whatever, so I was like, I'll take it.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Like a bit.
Edgar Allan Poe, man, that guy had some great stories. Telltale Heart, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. that's a
Kills
good
his
one.
best friend, puts him in the floorboards.
See,
and
I'm
then
more
freaks out because he
I'm a
thinks people
larger
can hear the
fan
heart.
of his poetry than his stories.
You will appreciate Shakespeare's Prospero's Island scene from that last season of Next Generation if you're a Picard guy.
Guys, we're talking about Trek again. I thought we were on
Yeah,
this.
no, he
Yeah.
is. I'm
That's-
just.
But that's what Trek people do that a lot. They always try to refer to
right,
back to stuff.
I always like the meme with Edgar Allan Poe where it's like Edgar talking and he's like, you want to see what's under my floorboards? And the person's like, Edgar, you spooky bitch, you know I do. Let's go.
You know I do. You spooky bitch. So, on a lighter note, for the local area scene, Seymour women won their game tonight against Purdue Fort Wayne, so that's good.
It's a win that should always happen, but
Well, it should. Actually, Purdue Fort Wayne men, Seymour beat them by 1 point. They were actually a pretty good team. Football's playing Saturday for at least a co-championship for the OBC.
It's the last home game.
Murray
isn't it?
State.
It is the last home game.
Senior Day.
Well, if they win, they may get they're going to bid for the playoff game. They got it last.
They're going to
time.
make it either way if they win.
Yes. Yeah. So, I think they're in. They're going to be in the playoffs anyway. But that's what
It's guaranteed
That's
if
what
they
Coach
win.
Took said. But anyway,
He knows.
yeah. So,
wonder who he paid.
who he paid?
Miles Garrett.
You are watching Sessions stream live from Shaker's Bar downtown Cape. Here down at Shaker's, the lowly little place down here. That I go through and look at old write-ups, like people write stuff up about the bar, like your description of it is like a Hemingway tale. At first glance, this bar or dive,
Had
whatever
me
you said.
at first glance.
Yeah, at first glance, and I was like, oh, I went back and read that again. This is before you really you're really ingrained into the bar.
Right.
It's when you first found the place. But yeah, it was a good write up for it. But
I was coming to this place 3 bars ago, so
I like writing
3 bars
reviews on
ago.
places. I really do.
well, no,
I'm
it's
glad this is the one that stuck.
you know what I like is I appreciate it not just because I'm proprietor, but the fact that when people take the time to even spend a couple of seconds just to write a few words in whatever it may be. I mean, you never want the negative ones, but the positive ones, especially, you're pretty good with words in general when you write. So
Speaking of negative ones, there's a hilarious story about Mary Jane. So we had a person comment on our reviews that said, snobby and expensive, hipster palace. And Carissa's making shirts.
Was she going like this?
She's
Hipster palace?
She's making shirts that say that with
That's
the
what you
review on
do.
it. It's fucking awesome idea, dude.
That's what you do.
I
You
don't
take
have
the
a
hate,
drink right
turn it
now,
into
but
love.
cheers to her for that.
Right?
Take it, turn it into
great.
love.
Also,
man.
I think Hipster Palace is like the coolest name for Mary Jane ever. Like,
It's a cool place, man. You guys got good food. And
oh yeah,
I'm actually really jealous I didn't see that pasta
Dude.
beforehand.
I'll save you a little bit.
I appreciate you.
I'll save you one chicken strip
The
and
staff
like 6
is
noodles.
perfect, the atmosphere explodes, and you realize that this is a newfound watering hole meant for the eclectic souls only a college town can hold. That is
Damn.
beautiful. That is beautiful.
That's-
sir. That is absolutely correct.
you should
too.
do you should have your own little go around and do that on Facebook.
See, I used
You
to
could
do
call
it
it
on.
In Review with Zach.
It could be like Yelp, but with him it could be help.
But just In Review with Zach, and you go to different businesses and post stuff on Facebook. You know, like that Bob Club the guy does with weather. You could be like the Bob Club of restaurants and bars.
My video game
Bob, we're
stream
friends
that
on
I have, I
Facebook,
actually
and I'm
go by my
sorry
middle
that they
name.
compared the two
It's-
of you.
My middle name's Albert, so
That's
I'll
a compliment
go
to
with
Bob
I'll play it.
Club. Of all the weather people I could have named, I named Bob Club.
He is
I didn't
the-
name
he is
Al
the
Roker
guy.
or Al Roker or any of Wibbenmeyer. I named Bob Club. He's actually very like his posts are funny.
He's very smart too.
Like he's the one that came up with this is a two gallon milk day or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
the 2-gallon freak out.
Yeah, 2 gallon freak out.
That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
it is. Bob Club's
The
good.
Department of Social Meteorology.
Social media. So he's really funny, and he started that as just because he just loved posting about it, and then people just started following him because he was witty and quick, and so it was pretty cool. But yeah,
He knows how to temper everybody.
Yeah, he
that's
does.
what makes him great.
he does, and and he's up to the minute. You know, he's not like the weather. Sometimes you'll hear chance of rain at 6 o'clock at night, and it's been raining all day.
Well, and he doesn't pretend to be a meteorologist professional.
Right.
Hey, this is a thing that I love to do.
Yeah,
And take it as that.
right.
I have to. Thank you, Monroe. Thank you.
Is this dude Monroe's at the hockey game, right?
I don't know, but I
If
love
he's
him.
at the hockey game watching us, screw you, Monroe.
I can go from Hemingway to Gordon Ramsay real quick though. I think you should you
Right.
can combine it. You can be Zach Ramsey. Just
That is awesome.
Hemingway to Ramsey.
On that
Yeah.
note.
Gordon Hemingway. There you go.
Gordon Hemingway.
Musings with Gordon Hemingway. Hey, will you grab me a pen when you get up there?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Will you grab me a shot when you get up there?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Well, when in Rome.
I'll surprise y'all. Hey, tell me to grab your Jets win.
So the other thing I want to talk about is before we get into everything else, I've got some more stuff. But I don't know. Were you in the military?
No.
And you weren't.
Both my parents were.
So a little tidbit of information for you, and I don't know how every boot camp is, but I'll give you a little tidbit before we get into the military stuff later.
Shot, you get fucked.
But thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
But the
Ask me, dude, I had a pin.
thank you.
That one's better. Use that one.
The
Is that a G2?
Yeah.
0.5 or 0.7?
0.7.
Nice.
those are good ones. The somehow I knew that you would know it was a 0.7. As soon as he asked, I was like, he's going to know exactly what it is. That's the flow rate, the flow rate of the ink.
It's
I
the,
found
it's the
that out.
diameter of
It's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
all I write my schedules at work with.
I got to have a little resistance. I'm using those metal pens now.
Those are amazing.
Got to have a little resistance. But anyway, in boot camp, we talked about Epstein's 8-person shower. In boot camp, everything is communal. So bathrooms and showers. So showers, you have shower trees, just like you did. I don't know if you ever had them in high school where you have multiple nozzles on one tree. So that's bad enough because you have no room and you literally are almost hip to hip with people and you're in a hurry. So I used to sneak in the middle of the night and take my showers when nobody else was in there. I could take my time. And after about the second or third week, our company commander,
Take your time.
whatever I needed to do, whatever I needed to do. But the company commander, after about the third or fourth week, he'd go home, and he would stay. The first couple of weeks, he'd stay in the office, and then once he had people, kind of the leadership figured out within the berthing, in the Navy, it's where we'd sleep. He would pick out the lead petty officer or the squad leaders, and then they would kind of guide the activities. And so somebody would have to kitchen in there and make a big deal. Nobody really messed with it. But the whole point of this is there's nothing like sitting down to do your business right across from somebody sitting down to do their business.
With
In
no
the Navy.
wall?
No wall.
No.
Nope.
Oh, dude, I would lock eyes.
Dude,
I'd expect
Man.
nothing else.
so picture me and Zach, right?
I work in a courthouse.
Yeah.
We have stalls like civilized society. And if somebody walks in that bathroom while I'm trying to do that, I got to wait till they're
You
gone.
freeze up, you
Yep.
pucker up.
Not me.
No,
Could
not in
take
the
a shit
military.
in a
Look,
bucket in the Nova room.
Yeah.
Couldn't care less.
Yep.
Oh, I could if I had to.
I didn't
Yeah.
shit in a place that wasn't my house till I was like 23.
My wife.
Get me a bucket.
My wife, my wife used to be like that. She used to leave from work, and she'd go all the way to Jackson to go home to go to the bathroom. And I finally talked her in. I'm like, why? I just don't want to go, and people know what I'm doing. I'm like, it's bathroom time. Nobody cares. But anyway, you're sitting across from somebody, and you don't want to make eye contact because you're in boot camp, right? And there's already rumors about Navy anyway. There's always
Yeah,
those
it's the
rumors.
ladies' department.
Well, it's not the
Chris
ladies
gets it.
department, but Chris gets it. But it's very disconcerting, especially if the guy sitting across from you is particularly, what's the,
Verklempt?
yeah, if he's particularly messed up, and a lot of times you go to boot camp, start eating that food, and the first couple weeks you're kind of stopped up, or you're the other,
Right.
Because you're not used to the food, and it is very similar to prison food. I mean, it's made in mass quantities, and they have to put it out and everything. So you sit down across from somebody, and you're not so worried about the noise you're making. You just don't want to look.
What's the matter? It still tastes like cream corn, except it's deviled ham.
What is that?
Down Periscope.
Oh, okay.
I love it.
Anyway, so it's super uncomfortable, and that's one thing we're going to talk about when we talk about the military a little bit tonight. Is we're going to talk about the proximity you are with other people and how it made me be a little more social. Whether you like it or not, you have to be more social. But anyway,
I'm 30 years old and still pissed with my pants around my ankles.
And that seems like a good time
that's
for
the way
this.
you walk around all the time. Isn't it?
Indeed, it is.
That's the way to get. You guys mentioned showers and locker rooms. You guys didn't get sponge baths by your coach?
No,
Weird.
I'm kind of jealous now.
You had Sandusky then, didn't you? You had Sandusky.
So it's been a great show tonight.
No, there was a joke going around for a while where it was me and a couple of local MMA guys, and when that Sandusky thing happened, we used to talk about, hey, we're going to get together and train, and nobody Sandusky each other tonight. And it used to be because you're doing jiu-jitsu, and you're nut to butt sometimes.
Did you see Foxcatcher?
Yes,
Sorry, I was thinking of Michael Scott.
phenomenal.
I'm like, fucking amazing
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. The fact that he did not win an award for that, he
Shocking.
transformed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
Sorry, that's right there with the nut to butt coach thing. So I figured
It is.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
that nut butt comes from the military, and
Hit the floor. It's all
nut to butt comes from the military, and
Yep.
you literally, that's how they tell you when you're standing in the chow line, nut to butt. So literally, you are up
Yep.
on the backside of somebody. So Cody would have been like twerking on somebody, like, don't hide it, don't hide it.
Don't drop that dun-dun. Whoa.
So speaking of, we're going to do a couple more silly things before we get into series. So,
Only personal you get in the Navy is a 2x2 by 7 foot rack. We got an active
good.
duty on.
Yeah, that's true. In the Navy, man, you get that rack, and then you sleep three high, and.
Well, at least it's 7 foot, man. I'm 6'4". I'd worry about
I was
that.
lucky enough I got the top rack. I wouldn't want to be the middle guy because you constantly either got people standing up by you or stepping down.
Right.
Somebody farting in your face all night.
Well, you get called out for that. You get your ass whooped for farting in somebody's face. Yeah, that's a bad one. You can do it to your buddies, but if you do it and you're not buddies with the guy, you end up getting your ass whooped. But anyway, so one thing I want to bring up, we don't talk about politics a lot, but I want to bring up something about one of Biden's gaffes from last night at the debate.
I thought you were high when you were saying it.
One of Biden's gaffes from last night in the debate, I just had to bring it up because they were talking about sexual assault and Me Too, and Biden said, we got to keep punching at it. And of course,
Bruh.
I'm sorry, yeah, bruh is exactly
Right.
what it was. They made note of it on all the major networks, and I just had to bring it up. Look, politicians, don't get so caught up in what you're saying that you don't take a second and think through what's coming out of your mouth. We got to keep punching at it. Was the worst possible. How he's still the front runner, I don't know.
I'm actually bummed that's what you brought up and not Fartgate.
Yeah, I'm not going to bring up
I
Swalwell
was
from
thinking
California.
about the Kamala Harris thing, but yeah.
Well, Kamala's one thing, but no, I didn't. That was catty. That was just them go because. Well,
I'm talking about having served with the only black member
Yeah.
of the
I served
Senate,
with
and she's sitting right there as another one?
The first and only black woman, Kamala Harris, said no. Everybody's like, ah! But yeah, Biden messed up with that. But yeah, no, Fartgate was hilarious. If nobody saw that, Eric Swalwell from, I hate that he shares my name too, except he spells it different, from California, does an interview between one of the breaks from the impeachment hearings, and he's talking, and if you haven't heard about it, go on YouTube and look it up. But they call it Fartgate now.
He did it at work today.
He ripped one and even paused and kind of tilted a little bit. And then they asked him about it. Oh, that wasn't me, but I thought that's pretty funny. I'm like, dude, that was you, man, all day long. Just look, everybody knew you did it.
It's just one of the many
MSNBC
lies he
Mike's
spun.
pants now.
There's nothing worse though when somebody farts, just straight up farts, and you know they did it, and you look at them like, bruh, and they're like, like acknowledge that you.
I will start laughing if I
Yeah.
fart.
Dude,
it's
if I
mine.
fart, the first thing I'm doing is saying, "You guys smell popcorn?" Because then you get that good whip.
Man, y'all
like
gotta-
you're trying to smell it real
Look,
good.
you're
dude.
wrong.
Oh,
You're
it's the
wrong.
best,
for
I
that,
have
dude.
cleared out a limo before.
Look, I have
can
a
see you
I have a
doing that.
3-year-old girl, and she will take claim to any fart that I lay. It is the greatest moment in my life when that happens.
Oh,
because
man.
I don't have to own anything because she's got it. She's got me covered. I owe her forever.
So I didn't know. Being a father of daughters, I didn't know, and you can identify with this. But having little girls, you want to teach them to be confident and strong about themselves. So I never made any of their bodily functions or any of their little quirks a big deal. I was like, oh, So my daughters fart with no reserve. Because I told them when they were young, I made a joke out of it because I didn't want them to be all embarrassed about it. So Emma, one of my twins, she'll just be watching TV, spread eagle, just let it rip, and then she won't even acknowledge it. And I'll go, Emma, oh, excuse me, and it just
Men
rip
will
it.
respect that when she gets older.
Well, I hope she does it a lot because I'm hoping that men don't want to be around her. That's my
Yeah,
goal.
I feel you.
I'm trying to teach her to be a pig, and then guys don't want to be around her. But anyway, moving
Hello,
on.
everyone. Welcome to Shakers.
So guys, moving on. I have a question for you, Lank. We'll start with you on this
Okay.
one.
Me up. I don't know, it's
How
a
do
podcast, but it's hilarious.
that is good. So, Lank, how do girls with long nails wipe their butt?
Very carefully.
No, they can't.
I thought my answer was pretty good.
No, they can't.
You gotta
let's-
triple up on the fucking density of that
Oh,
toilet paper.
and-
No, you
Yes.
can't get your
Yes.
finger in there.
I
So
you
Todd,
finger your asshole. when you wipe it?
Whoa! We need to talk
So
about how
listen.
you're wiping, Eric.
no, listen. So here's the thing. So Todd Sissom, who works at River
Yeah,
Eagle,
yeah,
he-
wait till you're our age.
he posted something about this, about talking about girls with different kind of nails, but it showed this girl with long nails and it said still poopy. So I thought about this and I'm like, that's true. Like you get these girls that have these extra long fashion nails, you cannot wipe.
Especially the sharp ones.
Yeah, you cannot get in there.
It makes me think of the guy that played the guy on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
What's his
Chris
name?
Pratt.
Yeah.
Just wiping and
I just
wiping,
wipe
wiping.
and I wipe and I wipe.
Still poop. So, ladies, if there's a lady out there watching, I would
Is
love.
that 2 or 3 times this week? That's the
I
reference.
think so, dude.
If there's a lady out there watching, I would love for you to give us your input. Please respond on our Facebook page through the stream and let us know. You don't have to tell us how you do it, but maybe how you know it's done. Because I'm
There's not a
That's
fucking
not
person in
something
the
that
world
cops
that's
can
gonna.
fix.
Anybody's gonna.
That's
comment
somebody's
on
be a
going
little
to.
harder to
Somebody's
fix.
going to. Oh, that's
Throws the
Caleb.
briefcase.
That's Caleb. All right. If any of you guys will talk to your girls, we won't even say your name, but I'm fascinated. I don't know why I am, but I'm fascinated on how women with long nails wipe their
Eric's
butts.
got a new
Why do
cake.
you have to make everything weird?
Not a kink, man. I'm just saying.
We have a female watching. Carrie, how does it work?
Will Carrie tell us?
Yeah, dude.
How do you wipe with really long fingernails? I don't get it. I don't know how you do it. Anyway,
I'm sorry about the coughing, everybody.
so since you're kind of a wordsmith like me, something's been bothering me. Damn it, Cody, don't die.
You're right.
Something's been bothering me, Zach. While
Other
you
than
stepped away.
women with long nails wiping their butts.
Yeah. No, this is another one. So this is from personal experience, and I don't mind being embarrassed. I embarrass myself all the time. But and Matt, you can kick in with this, but I'm going to ask Zach to begin to help me with this. I'm looking for a phrase or a word to describe this situation. So let me tell you this situation.
Is it the wiping situation?
No.
Because that's fucked.
No, it's not the wiping situation. I know that is, but I don't. I keep my nails trimmed, so I'm good with that. So, have you? Maybe it's just me. I'm just getting over a bout of sinus infection, being sick, and so Cody can identify with that. But I made the mistake one time of blowing my nose with my mouth open,
Yes.
and you get remnants in your mouth. What do we got to come up with something? Nobody's called that anything.
Close
yet.
your fucking mouth.
Blowback. No, I mean let's give it a name. Like right now, we can make history on this show. And we can give that
It's
a
drip
name.
salsa.
Drip salsa. No, that makes it sound good.
Globble,
Like
do you?
it's gotta be something that warns you, but also is like funny. So like this can happen. So something about your mouth being open and then blowing your nose, and anyway, I thought about that. It drove me nuts because that happened to me like 2 weeks ago.
Well, hold on.
And
You
you're
said
brushing your teeth, and it's gross.
sneeze freeze.
Sneeze, freeze.
Because now you got that warning, like, hold up, close the mouth, sneeze freeze.
But it's only when I blow my nose, though. It didn't happen when I sneezed. All right, so that's a chore for somebody. We want to come up with a phrase or a word for that.
Come back?
Jay, come. I was thinking like blowback or something with like a whale snout.
I think that's a totally different thing you're talking about.
Blowback?
Inward facial?
Are you thinking sexual? He's
Yeah,
thinking sexual.
always.
No, that's snowblower. Zach, do you know what a snowblower is?
Is it anything like a snowball?
Snowblower is from the movie Clerks. If
Yeah.
you know,
That's
remember
snowball.
No, that's snowblower.
That's snowball.
You want to bet?
Sure.
I don't know. You want to argue?
Do
with
you
him
really
on this
want to go
one.
I
up
do
with
wanna
me on a
bet.
Kevin Smith?
I do want to bet. I do want to bet you on that particular thing.
It's right. Just remember, if you find yourself a
Snowblower.
lady who's willing to make you a lasagna and bring it to work for you, and not fuck everyone else in
I,
town,
I would
See,
think
you
a
need to keep
snowblower
her.
would be a person who exhales accidentally when they're trying to snort coke.
So we're going to look that up. If anybody wants to look that up, for the movie Clerks, they referenced the name Snowball or Snowblower, and I'm almost positive it's Snowblower, but it may be Snowball.
It's snowball.
Okay.
Snowball is when you release someone's semen into someone else.
Guys, what are we doing right now?
We got into bodily functions
I
over
leave
here.
for
I am the
2
king of
minutes.
nomenclature. I have to know
So
these
so
things.
so that it started out with this, Cody. It was. If you've ever coughed or blown your nose into 30 seconds.
That's called sorry.
Oh, holy shit!
Snowball.
It's a snot shot.
Snot shot. Who said that?
Me,
No, that's brilliant.
right now.
Snot shot.
Yeah.
Snot shot.
If you don't close your mouth, you
do
get
it.
a snot shot.
It's a hockey reference. I like it. Snot shot. Instead of slap shot.
But like that's the exact.
You got
same.
it, Snowball.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay, Zach's right. I don't mind saying I'm wrong if you're right.
I'm a cinephile, bro.
I know, man. I thought I had you on something there. But anyway, so Snowball, we figured, well, no, this all
Caleb
started.
Fisher.
So this all started by me saying, has anybody ever blown their nose and gotten stuff in their mouth when they blow their nose? Meaning your mouth's open when you blow your nose. I've done that before when can't breathe very good and your mouth's open. So we were trying to, and so we came up with
snot shot.
snot shot.
Dude.
I like it. Nobody's
I
titled
can't wait for
it.
snowballs. Snot shots I'm okay with. Snowballs is rough.
Yeah, Snowball. We
It's a completely different
Yeah.
aspect.
It doesn't denounce it. It's just rough.
right. It's true. That's very true. So okay,
Oh, Christy's watching. Christy with long nails, like super long nails. How do you wipe?
no, not the front because they could still get the front.
Well, yeah. How do you wipe your ass?
Yeah, and then like you're supposed to go front back according to my wife.
I go both.
What? No.
You don't have a vagina.
No,
in
we're talking
front of
about with
Oh,
JJ's.
yeah, no.
With the JJ, you got to go front to back because
Got
you don't want to
no
wipe.
Caitlin on
You don't want to wipe back to front. You get all kinds of feces and stuff. So I know that
This
from
still
It's
applies for
officially
men.
the
I don't
worst
want
conversation we've ever
fucking,
had.
A levy of shit behind my balls.
Do you-
like
do you-
I stick
do you
with
not
some
want
same.
shibbles?
Right.
Well, I use wipes anyway.
Same.
I use sanitary wipes. I want to keep that nice and cleansed
They
back
call
there.
those Tampax, bro.
Always makes me think of the little skit that's like, so if you got shit in your beard, would you just take a paper towel and wipe it off? No, you go and wash your fucking beard. So why would you take a shit and just use a paper towel and wipe around on it?
I don't have a beard coming out of my ass.
Hey, you try
Must
to
be
use
nice.
a dry towelette
It
to
is.
wipe a Wookiee, okay?
A dry towel to wipe a Wookiee. Oh God! All right,
Name my
so
head.
To wipe a Wookiee.
Is it 10 o'clock yet?
No, it's not 10 o'clock. We still got 15 minutes of this silliness. But actually, we're going to get on to some more serious stuff. So you guys feel free to throw in your input on any of that stuff. If you got a better one than snot shot or whatever it was, give us what that is. When you blow your nose, you get snot or boogers in your mouth. It's gross, but it's happened to most everybody. Has it never happened to you?
No, I just want to take a shot of that to cleanse myself from what you just said.
Jesus Christ, Chris, watch or don't, man. Shit.
Watching, not watching.
Chris
watching.
Monroe was watching. Chris Monroe was watching. Chris Monroe was watching.
It's a bunch of people on his phone, I guess. Actually, he's supposed
He's
to
at work.
I thought he was at the hockey game. It just said earlier he was. Oh, he's just watching.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I guess his job, he's able to watch TV. All right, so let's move on, and I'm going to start with you on this one. If we are born sinners, which according to Christianity we're all born sinners, is it possible for us to not sin? For example, say you were born away from all material worth. You're born off in the middle of nowhere. Your parents have died before you know or taught anything. Say you end up surviving somehow, and through some miracle you survive. Could you avoid being sinful?
I mean, that's easy. If there's nobody around to tell you what you're doing is a sin, then you're not sinning.
Right, if you're not in your mind, but I mean, I'm talking about by the world standards. Would you be a sinner? Because you're still going to have sexual drive. You're still going to have.
But that's what I'm
things like
saying.
that.
If you don't have any of those social constructs, if you're born away from all that, and you don't have anybody to tell you what you're doing is wrong, then there wouldn't be any sin. You know what I mean?
Right. You'd be more
would just be-
instinctual.
you would
than
be, everything would be instincts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So in tune, that matters for me is my daughter's asked me a question: can animals sin? And I say no.
Well, it's also believed animals don't have a soul, so...
Well, I think all dogs go to heaven, brother.
That's changed.
All
in
dogs go to heaven.
Catholicism,
Yeah,
I
we
believe.
learned in All Dogs Go to Heaven, too. Not all of them go to heaven.
But the good ones do. The lassies go to heaven.
Lassie's a punk.
One day my daughters will see this, and I want them to know that all dogs go to heaven. Lassie's a punk.
As
What's
far
that,
as-
Timmy? Epstein didn't kill himself?
As far as Christianity is concerned, God protects the innocent. So if you don't know, if you don't have that
Right.
mental aspect of it,
Right.
you're protected.
And I look at animals, and the reason I ask is because I did a radio blog post or podcast, whatever you want to call it, about 5 years ago, where I basically did a show like this with just me on a mic. And
that must have been horrible.
No, it was actually, I did pretty good with it. I had actually several people called in. But
You guys have to laugh when I
the
make
funny-
fun of him. He's the host. Come on.
maybe they thought you were being serious. But I brought up the subject of I think squirrels commit suicide, and it was a topic of discussion. The
I
reason
can see it. They always run back.
that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Like they'll stand in the road and they'll wait for you and they'll be like, "Oh, what should I do?" I think they commit suicide. So I think they have conscience. I think they have a realization. I think if you think you're a squirrel and you're depressed, man, you didn't get enough nuts or want more nuts
Forgot
or
we hit 'em
whatever.
all.
Man, have you never been in that situation where you're having like a semi one night stand possible relationship with a girl and you run back and forth in your mind? You want to have nuts, you want to have not nuts? I mean, come on, man. You're right there.
I'm just
on
saying.
that same thing. Indecision is a thing.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, the amount of squirrels that I've either hit or almost hit, I think, what do you guys think? Think about that for a
I
minute.
see it
Talk
as
I
about
think
it
my
with your friends.
metaphor was under fucking represented right there by this table.
I think your metaphor was pretty good, actually.
I didn't understand your metaphor. Could you be
Bunch
more
of
descriptive?
College boys out tonight. All right.
Boys' night.
Boys night. Wee.
It's Wednesday, my
Hi, welcome to Shakers.
All right. So let's move on to the next fun subject. This one, we'll start with you, Lank, because it's right up your alley. Is stop and frisk a good anti-crime policy?
Yes and no. And I'll tell you why.
Never just be
Man,
one way.
I never would have guessed that would be your answer.
Right.
Oh, hell,
Yes and
Canada.
no. No, I'm going to hold you to the fire. It's yes or no. Yes or no.
I will say no.
Okay, and why is it not?
From a prosecutor standpoint, you'd like the answer to be yes, obviously, because you tend to know as a law.
Thank you, Bailey.
We're doing a podcast, brother.
You tend to know as a law enforcement officer whether or not a certain person is probably or probably not committing a crime.
Right.
But the Constitution affords you certain protections, and we have to uphold those. Justice is what's being sought. So if you don't have a reason to be searched, You have to be careful with that. And where it comes up is you stop a person on a bike, middle of the night, they don't have lights on their bike, there's ordinances for lights, whatever. You know that person is probably been doing, or is going to do drugs. They have them on them. You can ask that person.
Still getting good levels, Jay. Okay, all right.
You can ask that person, absolutely, do you have any weapons on you? Can I search you? That is a Terry frisk.
Right.
It's a consensual stop for the protection of that officer, because you don't want to be coming into contact with somebody that's got a knife or a gun on them and get shot or stabbed.
All right, so let me go back. So you said no, that it's not a good anti-crime policy. So please define that again for us, plain and clear, why it's not an good anti-crime.
A Terry stop is designed to protect an officer from being hurt because that person has weapons on them. It's not designed to locate criminal intent. So if I've got drugs on me and I'm behaving and I'm not, presenting to the fact that I have drugs on me, that stop is not designed to find that.
Well, now, if you go by the statistics, like you go to New York City, for example, when Giuliani was in New York City, he used stop and frisk to clean up New York, and violent crime dropped by 56%. So here's my question is, I'm not saying you're wrong.
And why that worked is a lot of these folks that deal in and use drugs have guns on them.
Okay.
They're felons a lot by and large,
Right.
or they're possessing a gun and drugs, which is also a crime in most states. So you use that to weed that out.
Okay.
And it does work. It does work.
But that negates what you just said, which is
you have to
use
be
it.
very careful with it, and you have to know what it is. And frankly, I don't think that officers are trained well enough to use it properly.
You don't think?
No.
You don't think cops are trained to? What do you mean? What do you mean
In
trained
Terry
properly?
frisks.
Why not? Because all you have
It-
to do,
it-
you have to have a
It is an incredibly
reasonable
nuanced.
suspicion. Reasonable
Yes.
suspicion. So, have you ever been stopped and frisked before?
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm an instant target. Like, just heads up.
I've never been stopped.
The only way I would ever think you were an instant target if you were naked.
Touche.
Can we Terry frisk these guys? They're 20-somethings that just walked into a bar and the first song they played was cocaine.
Right?
I mean, I'm
I'm
just
good.
saying.
Let 'em-
let's get a
spend a
little
little money.
bit more into
Them
this.
Spend a
kids
little money,
ain't have to
boys.
know
It's that
God.
time of the year. It's that time of the year before they go home to see their parents. and they
No,
don't get to
like,
go out.
I don't know. Like, I've been stopped and searched many a times. And I mean, I'm always like, I don't have anything on me.
Right.
Like, always like, yeah, that's not a problem. In Denver, it happened a lot. I got the shaggy hair.
How long ago was that?
I've been back from Denver 4 years.
Is
Okay.
it's pre opening up
Pre-legal
the law.
legal marijuana.
Yeah, it was during. It
During?
was during, where it went legal, then they instantly had a vote on what to do with the money. They had too much.
Okay.
So it was right there at that time. And
You can do it.
God, that was almost a really great parallel
Sorry.
park.
I'm listening.
And
Go
like
ahead.
with myself, I think a lot of it with me was based on how I looked, and based on the uneducated. Like the law officers weren't too educated.
That's the
there.
risk you run with the Terry stop,
Well,
right there.
of course, but
because if you're a young black man,
hold on.
or if you look like you,
But I also walked with a cane very diligently when I was in
Oh, they're
Denver.
worse
That's
now.
before I had as much confidence as I do, before I relied on my ears as much. So I had my blind cane. Every officer that ever stopped me instantly thought that was a weapon, because everybody carries a bow
Well, I
staff
think,
with them.
and so that does go into kind of what Matt was saying with there's training involved, but there's
Yeah.
also common sense. And I think
Right.
the biggest thing that I think officers on the street when you're doing stop and frisk, if I see Cody walking at 3:00 in the morning, and I had a
Which you're likely
which
to
you're
do.
likely to do.
that happens.
But if I have a description from somebody that could just call the policeman, and there's somebody that says white male with a beanie on wearing a flannel shirt, I see him and I'm
Good
like,
luck in Cape
I'm
Girardeau,
like,
right?
hey, how you doing? But you have to you have to be smart about it, right? And I think
the one thing that I always thought was interesting, though, is every single time I have always been cuffed. And while they're cuffing me,
Oh, you've always been cuffed
Yep.
when they do that? Really?
they
they have the
inform
right
me.
to detain you.
They're like, they tell me, we are not detaining you. This is for our safety. I've towered over every cop who's ever stopped me.
Well, they don't have a right to detain you unless they can demonstrate or say out loud what crime you've committed.
Arrest.
No, they can't detain you without demonstrating that. That's a new. I know. I know
You're
I know
probably
you're.
right on
I know
that.
you're in the law field. I'm just saying. I watch a lot of those First Amendment things on YouTube, and the one thing that I found out, because I looked on I don't remember what the federal code is. Now this is federal code now.
Right.
Missouri might be different, but federal code for the law basically states you cannot be stop and frisked or detained.
Sure.
Unless you can, as an officer, can say or articulate what it is,
suspicion.
reasonable suspicion, which could be we had a call about someone breaking in,
Right.
or you did this or whatever. So unless you have that, you're not supposed to do it. But I've been stop and frisk before, and I've never minded it. I never minded it because
I've been stopped and frisked before, man. I feel like I
knew,
left out, kind of.
I knew the officer was doing
The
their
only part I
job.
mind is when they cuff me. I hate being cuffed.
Well, I never got
shady.
cuffed. I never got cuffed. They would just tell me to stand still with my hands out, and they check. And it was usually either coming out of somebody's house or something going on. It was always around something going on.
Right.
It was
Right,
never
right.
just me standing out in front of here or whatever. And of course, you get a little older. But the reason I bring this up is there's with the way things are in the world right now. With there's so many weapons on the street now. And I'm a Second Amendment guy, but you're going to have, I think cops are going to have a lot more reasons for stop and frisk and a lot more articulable where they can actually say, hey, I'm stopping you because of this. You're not supposed to stop to try to find things wrong with people.
That's it.
You're not
There's
supposed to
the
do
line.
that. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that, but let's just be honest. The truth of the matter is if you're a smart police officer, you can articulate that any way you want. And you can find a way to say, hey, we're checking you for this. Now, I do notice that the police officers that find the most success with people are the ones that communicate, the ones that say, hey, we're doing this because of this. Just bear with me for a second. Typically, most of that works out well. It's the strong arm activity, the ones that try to act like they're bullies that don't go very
They
far.
act like they don't have to have any reason. They're just the law.
Yeah.
So they can do whatever they
Let
want.
me articulate where it becomes a problem a lot.
Okay.
Having been somebody that wore a badge and a gun for crap pay. You walk up, you stop a car because they've got their license plate light out. Okay, you want to tell them about it. That's noble. You walk up to that car and they have a sawed-off sitting there pointed at you.
Well, wow.
That
It
sucks.
happens. It happens.
It happens. The moment that you experience a fearful event, everyone's got a gun now. You can't ever get into that, but how do you play one side off the other? That is really difficult
separate.
in a job where you're making $12 an hour.
Well, fortunately,
Or like I was, $6.50 an hour.
fortunately, they make more than that now. Cape City does much better than that now. But your point is
There,
well
there are
taken.
rural areas that they don't make that.
Well, I know. I worked Chaffee and Perryville and another place, and
you know.
we made crap money. But the point, I did it because I wanted to do it because I cared, and I thought I could make a difference. And of course, that was my first mistake. Was I thought I could make a difference. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is, and it's not to diminish or to lower people's appreciation of what law enforcement does, because everybody knows I'm a supporter of law enforcement. But I want everybody to understand what goes into the mind of the person that's being stop and frisked, and then also the officer. Because if we keep that in mind at all times, then we have a better understanding of each side. We can be better with each other. So if an officer asks to talk to you for a second, and I've seen this before, don't get offended.
It's a consensual stop.
Yeah, you don't have to, but my thing is if you're just asking a question like, hey, did you see anything? Like, if you want to ask me that question, I'm fine. I help in any way I can. But what I'm trying to get to is a point where it's not automatically adversarial, and that's kind of where I'm saying is,
Not everybody views it that way.
Well, no, and that's true, and that's the thing is, I'm not coming from the point of view of somebody that deals with this all the time. Meaning, I'm not a guy driving a car with loud music and with plumes of smoke coming out. I'm not a guy that's just walking down the street for no reason getting stopped. That's not happening to me. So, can I say off the top, that I'm that guy? And well, you are not parked very good there, girl.
I don't think she's party. She's giving some.
Oh, okay. That's
By the way,
crazy.
they gave up.
Yeah, I see that. It's crazy night.
He's less than 18 inches off the curb, or she.
Nah, they're fine.
No, that's somebody else.
They've got
looked at
that
him first
mark.
time.
They've got that mark there. They're good. Anyway, it's amazing how many drug deals I see go down out here.
Right.
How many little parties? Oh, here's
Yeah.
your to-go.
I'm
Here's your
sure that was
to-go
food,
box. Yeah, here's your to-go
True.
box. Anyway, So, last thing before we get into our PTSD and the endemic of suicides with military, has anybody used any CBDs yet?
I got asked that today.
I started. I got some yesterday. I got some CBD oil, the 3,000 milligram or 3,000 units. I think it's called.
Let me know how that does.
I have a really good substitute for it that I use instead.
Yeah, but I took it last night, and it kind of leveled me off a little bit, clarified. I don't think it really didn't. I had some back pain and a little bit of knee pain. Wasn't really messing with that too much, but it leveled me off pretty good. So, I mean, it's something. I think it's something that people need to research and look into and see the benefits of it. There's so many benefits.
If you've ever watched one of the videos of somebody suffering from seizures, take that, or like shakes, Parkinson's, things like that, and watch the results in seconds, you'd be a believer, dude. Like, this stuff can do wonders.
And you can do it liposomally, which for those that don't know is underneath your tongue. You hold it there for 30 seconds to a minute and soaks into your. That's a direct route.
Same way you take vitamin A.
Yeah, direct route into your
And
bloodstream.
B12.
Vitamin B12, many ways. In fact, anything that recommends liposomally taken, like for example, the real high levels of vitamin C, that's a direct route into your bloodstream. It's really thin membrane there. The other place is your anus. But I'm not shoving it.
Which is what I prefer, but
you prefer that?
That's a whole other discussion for a different day.
I'm not shoving anything in my anus.
oh, you'll put your finger in your butt to wipe, but you won't take a suppository. Okay, Aaron.
Did not put my finger in my butt. I know your fantasies take you there,
High five for that
but
comment.
that did not happen. Anyway, there is a video on YouTube where a guy's showing you what you do, where you can use one single swath of toilet paper. And
With the hole in it?
With the hole in it. So it's an older dude, and he tears a small little hole in it, he puts his finger through, and he shows you that's what you wipe with, and then you take the tip and you fold it up and you clean your nail out. Yeah, it's gross. And you take the rest
What
of
kind
the
of Sheryl Crow bullshit is
you
this?
take the toilet paper like this and pull it up over your finger. And it was on Tosh.0. Tosh was covering it. And he says, but then your finger still smells. You ever seen mall rats?
Yes.
Get ass smell on your hand. You never get rid of it. You smell poop forever, man. Literally. It's so true.
God.
I just like how they started with cocaine and now we're going with Mary Jane. They got too
Hey, we're
they got
just-
too high real fast.
We're going,
Gotta bring it
too
down.
high real fast.
Bring it down.
Sounds
Speaking of
fucking
that-
roller coaster in this place right now.
Did you ever see? I don't know if you ever watched. Two Chainz has like this webisode that he does where he
You
does
mean Titty Baby?
2 Chainz.
Titty Baby.
Whatever. I don't know what that is.
She's got a big booty, so I call her Big Booty.
Yeah.
So 2 Chainz's original rap name was Titty Baby.
I didn't know that.
You're welcome.
Okay. I don't think he probably wants to be called that anymore. I'm just
He
saying.
released a CD with it. Don't care.
But anyway, 2 Chainz, a well-known rapper, he had this show where he does like Snoop Dogg type stuff. He like different things going on. He doesn't cook, but he did this one show where this guy, this gourmet chef, could take, hemp and marijuana and could cook with it. He had great recipes with it. And it said the time that 2 Chainz got too high, and the guy, so they basically got a, what do you call it? The big cigars.
Cigarette.
Huh?
Like a spliff or like a
No, blunt. And he made a blunt, and then he put orange pico or orange oil, and it was a CBD, but it was actually straight cannabis oil.
Right.
It wasn't cannabis oil, but it was
Wax.
the other one. Yeah. And he rubbed it on there, just one streak of it. And so 2 Chainz smokes it, and you got to watch the episode, but it's really funny. And
Sold.
yeah, it's really funny. And he's like, "Woo, that's getting to me like one hit." He's like, "Oh, that's one hit. Let's smoke a little more." And then so of course they're making stuff with.
Why do you make 2 Chainz's voice sound like a shuck and jive character?
Woo!
Woo! That got me.
Woo! These idiots out here. What is it? Idiot night?
Guess so.
I'm out, so it must be.
Got 'em.
You are watching Sessions stream live from Shaker's Bar, downtown Cape. Downtown Cape. If you cannot hear me, I'm sorry.
Still better than I did it.
Okay. We've got some music going on in the other room, so hopefully you can hear us pretty well. A little background music for you. But I almost almost stopped the change.
We went from killed to stop.
Hold on.
Real quick.
I almost changed. Because it was the wrong word.
Hillary?
I almost changed the topic tonight because I wanted to have somebody here that kind of had dealt with it. But I think we'll touch more on the the military experience, and then what's left when you come home, and then when I get Ross on here, we'll talk about the aftermath and some of that stuff. And I've got a number of reference for the Department of Veterans Affairs that you can call. So
Semi-charm kind of life.
I will give you. Oh man, that'd be crazy if it did. But I will give you some little personal experience. I've never been in a theater of war. I mean, I've been in war. I've been in a war setting when I was in the Navy in the Gulf War, but I've never been actually in combat, in zone, as Army and Navy, Army and Marines typically are. They're kind of the forefront, and they go ahead. So I've never actually seen a buddy get blown apart. I've never seen a buddy die in front of me, but I've seen people died. I've seen a guy in a body bag, and I've seen a POW, and I've seen things like this. But what I want to talk about is trying to offer some a little bit of tidbit of information to people so they can kind of get to know kind of what it's like to feel that loneliness and to feel that way when you get out of the military. So the way you guys can identify with this, and you probably know what I'm talking about, but the way you can identify is anything that you've done in your life where you felt like you're a part of something and all of a sudden it wasn't there anymore. So, and I'm going to just give you the setting and kind of let you guys know. You go to boot camp, you're completely by yourself. Sometimes you're lucky enough and go on a buddy plan from your recruiter, but that seldom happens. But you go to boot camp and you're thrown into this world of be a man real quick and learn real quick, and everything comes at you super fast. And my small personal story is I arrived at San Diego, California at 4:30 in the morning on a Tuesday, basically. I left the MEPS from St. Louis and flew out. And I arrive at San Diego, and we get off the van, and everything's quiet to begin with, and we get taken into the airport, and we walk in, and we're standing in this little holding area, and we don't know what to do. We've got our suitcase, and and all of a sudden the guy this van pulls up, and this guy in Navy wear gets out and runs in, and what are you assholes doing standing in here? Get in the van right now. And you're like, okay. So you knew a little bit there was going to be a lot of this kind of stuff. So you run your ass off, you go get in the van, you sit in the van, and of course this guy gets in, and his job is to start breaking you down, and that's really what the military does, is it breaks you down and builds you back up, and it tries to turn you into somebody more that's trainable and disciplined. And the problem is a lot of times when you go in the military, you're not disciplined to begin with, and so it's good to have a kind of a basis for experience of discipline. And I went in, and the truth of the matter is, when I went in, I was running from bills. I was running from a lot of debt that I had, and my mom was worried about me, so I went in the Navy. And anyway, so I call her, and so speaking of the loneliness, I call her from the airport. She will not accept my collect call because she's so upset that I'm going to the military. She didn't want me to go in. So I went basically 6 weeks without talking to my mom. When I finally called her from boot camp on the day that we could call, she's so upset and crying on the phone. Of course, we talked through it anyway. So I went in, and I was so bad on my test, my ASVAB, and I got a really low score. So I was only qualified to be a bosun mate. Now, not to demean or put down bosun mate, but we basically did all the crap work. It wasn't an applied technical trade. It was more of just, when we pulled into port, we did the line work. It was labor. We painted the ship. Yeah, that was all it was. But it basically, the Navy is unique in the fact that if you go on a boat, if you go on a ship, you are thrown into, basically it's a floating prison. You're not allowed to go anywhere. You eat when they tell you to eat. You go to the doctor when they tell you to go to the doctor. The only freedom that you really have is you basically go to the bathroom when you want to go to the bathroom, but that's about it. You literally, and you got to get up at a certain time, go do what you got to do. You got watches you got to serve. You got all that stuff you got to do, trash detail. You got to do 190 days, or 180 days in the kitchen. So that's 6 months.
Line swings.
Yeah, you got to go work in the kitchen. So you work. Luckily, for some reason, an officer liked me and asked me to work up in the wardroom, the officer's wardroom, so I worked upstairs in the officer's mess. But anyway, basically, that was getting on the ship. But what I want to talk about mainly is the fact that what you're taught to do, and then when you get out, there's nothing left to do anymore. So everybody knows the story of Chris Kyle, the hero, and everything that he went through. And that was one of his hardest things is he couldn't get away from the military because the military was part of who he was. And he kept kind of re-upping for time. They kept going back. And
It's
Chris
now 90 days in the kitchen, just so you know.
Huh?
It's now 90 days in the
Is
kitchen.
it now 90?
Yeah.
Who said that?
Caleb Fisher.
Oh, Caleb said it's now
He said
90.
a few things here.
Yeah,
active Navy.
I think it was 120 days. If I'm not, it was 120 days, I believe, and now it's 90. Might have been 90. Hell, I don't remember. But the point is, so he recognizes he's in the Navy, right? Yeah, he recognizes that. So they make you serve that as part of your initial time in the military. But anyway, so Chris Kyle is a marksman. He's a sniper, and he comes home and it shows what he went through when he was in the military. And it's the one thing that I thought was the very kind of, I don't want to say touching, but the very important part about the movie is when he called his wife from combat zones. And so I want to talk about that a little bit right now, is where you guys, so you guys can understand, is the loneliness that you feel when you're in a combat zone, when you are just trying to just stay alive, and you want to come home and you want to see your family, but you also know that you signed up and it's your duty. And so let's talk about that for just a second. As far as things in your life, it's hard to explain to people that never experienced that, and that's why people need to have so much respect for the military, is the fact that what they sacrifice and what they do is so big.
You kind of lose a part of yourself. For
You
sure.
do. You almost have to give up a part of yourself. And what I think I want people to mostly understand is in life, we don't often get many opportunities to do something bigger than what we are. A lot of times we get lost in life and we kind of just go about our world and we're paying bills and buying stuff and just living. But there's very seldom, and this I think why some people go to church, and I think why some people find sports is it's trying to be part of something bigger than what we are, bigger than who we are, bigger than what we think things are. And so the military, and I will tell you, my biggest sense of pride and defeat was the military. In boot camp, they build you up, and by week 8 in the Navy, and I'm sure Caleb can speak to this, you go to church every Sunday without fail. And there's two things that happen in church. You have your worship, and then we sang in San Diego, "God Bless the USA" from Lee Greenwood. We sang that every Sunday.
It's service.
Yeah, it's service. And this was, of course, in like 1989, and it was pre-Gulf War, but it was leading up to that time. So when I joined, I didn't really know that we're going to have to go to anything, but I remember how prideful I was and how amazing it felt, because about week 6 you start singing these songs. At first it's just worship and stuff, but I remember my last week before we had our final inspections and we did our parade and everything. I remember my last week in there, and we had that last Sunday, right? We're the big shots. We're the week 8 guys. We're getting ready to get out, and we're singing that "God Bless the USA," and just bawl in tears because we feel like we're part of something. And I think the biggest thing is in life you should strive to always look to do something bigger than what you are. If you can't find something in your life, and what you do, like for example, you're doing something bigger than what you are. You may not look at it that way, but you feel a very important part in this world. You're working in a line of work that there's not a lot of thanks for it. You don't really get a lot of thanks. In fact, you get a lot of crap for it.
You're just a server.
And
I've actually never looked at it that way, and it's appropriate.
yeah, it's very appropriate. And the same thing with defense attorneys. Even though look, we can all say what we want to say, but everybody under our law system has a right to a defense. So if you do something that in your life that is bigger than what you are, that you can actually look at, when you volunteer to help people, when you even something simple, you go to the park and pick up
Volunteer
trash.
is a nonprofit, yeah.
Yeah. That's, I think, what I can connect with military is the reason that you feel that military kind of stands apart from everyday life, because they kind of feel like they've done something special, and they really have. And so when guys face PTSD, now I faced a little bit of PTSD. I had a little bit of stuff, nothing compared to what Ross Gartman would talk about, or some of the other guys that have had just a horrific time with it. But mine had to do with I'd have dreams every once in a while of having The one dream I always had is during the Gulf War, we were woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning, awakened at 4 o'clock in the morning. We were called general quarters on the ship, and we were told that Saddam had just launched several fighter jets in our direction. So it was the first time in the whole time in the Gulf War that I thought I'm actually going to have to deal with something. And I was number one hose man, which sounds funny, but literally.
I bet you were.
Yeah, I was.
I know it is based on the glory hole.
Sailors. But literally what I did is we were underneath the flight deck because we were on an LPD, which is a landing platform dock. So we had a well deck. So we took boats in the back of the well deck, and then we had helicopters and Marine Force Recon and SEAL Team 6 on our ship. But if there was a fire on the flight deck from a helicopter that crashed or anything, we would come up the side and we'd come up with our hose and we'd have to spray it off. And it was always the foam first, and then we'd spray the foam off. Mm-hmm. So I was the number one hose man. So you had to go to ship self-defense force training and all this. So the first time that I ever felt fear, like actual, oh man, we could actually, was that morning. And I remember being crouched down there for about 20 minutes. So you stay right, you're right by the hatch to go out. And if they call it out, because the bridge is up there, and the bridge, in case you don't know, is where the helm is at, where they drive the ship and the speed, and quartermaster to plot your course and everything. Anyway, so I'm sitting down there on and even after 10 or 15 minutes, I'm still thinking to myself, if a jet comes and actually comes at us and you know, let's go with our armor, we're done, because we're not a fighting ship. You know, we have guns, mounted guns.
Well, there's a good question to stop your story for just a moment.
Yeah.
What type of ship were you on? Was it
I was
a
on
supply ship or?
No, it's called an arduous duty ship, so it's a landing platform dock. So we went to all kinds of crazy, you know, the LPDs would have been the ones in Vietnam that would have gone right up into the Mekong Valley and all that. They would have been right up in the stuff. I think I probably said that wrong, but the point is, my fear was overwhelmed by my pride. And at that one moment in my life, it was the first time at, say, 20 years old, that I thought, okay, I'm ready to die for my country, which was such a weird feeling because I'd never felt that way about anything. I'd been a depressed kid. I talked about this before. But before going to the military, I never felt the sense of worth. You know what I mean? And the military actually gave me that. So that's the weird balance with the PTSD is you get this sense of empowerment and worth where you're doing something bigger than yourself, and then you come home and it's not, you don't feel it anymore.
That's it. You feel that sense of pride and sense of, you know, this country is bigger than I am and I'm serving it, and then you come home and like, how do I serve that beast again?
And that's the thing is and a lot of times when guys get PTSD, they get it while they're in service, and they don't realize how bad it is till they get out. Because while you're in service, there's outlets for it. You can go to the range, you can do hand-to-hand skills, you're actually doing stuff. But
and it's why you see a lot of soldiers going into public service.
Yeah,
because
like Dan Crenshaw.
hand in hand,
Dan Crenshaw is a prime example. SEAL team guy with the
other hand.
Yeah, SEAL team guy.
Much respect
in Texas. Really out there, outspoken guy. Got a lot of common sense. But the point is I was disabled, but mine was a silly disability. Mine was just I hurt my knee. It wasn't anything.
It's not silly. It's just random.
It was random, and I never even took. Like I got a severance when I got out, but I never went and got a disability check. I never filed for it because I felt like I didn't deserve it. You know what I mean? Because I didn't get injured in battle, so to speak. But I knew a guy. There was an older guy that we talked about, you know, Vietnam and some of the other guys that didn't really have the resources that I had. But there were a couple of older guys that were on my ship that were senior chiefs, and these guys had PTSD, and they talked about it openly. And when they came out of Vietnam and they had to deal with that kind of stuff, and I can't imagine. I can only imagine an edge of it, but I can't imagine being your own enemy, your mind. And we talked about this in the mental health episode, where your mind entraps you into this state this where you're at in the world, your place, and to have PTSD. Now you have PTSD from abuse and things that happen in life, which I think is very similar in fact, but it's brought on by different things and caused by different things. But in the case of battle PTSD or military PTSD, there's identifiable things that cause it. But at the same time, it's not just the gun, it's not just the shooting the guns, it's not just the death. There's a lot of things that cause it, and it's a letdown, and you get out with this huge feeling of pride, and you come home and it's like, I'm going to work. I'm going to go do this. And unfortunately, even getting married and raising a family is hard.
Caleb had a good one too earlier. It was
your life is so organized and it becomes chaos.
Right. He said going from military to civilian life is hard because the military is so fast paced, so beat up that when you get out, civilian life is slow. Most people don't know how to handle it.
Yeah,
that's kind of a good point too.
And that's a very good point. And the reason that that's interesting is the fact that military is very regimented in its schedules. Even in country, when you're in country, whether you're in combat or you're not, but there's always schedules. And even when you don't have a schedule, there's always stuff that you have to take care of. And
it's precisely why we provide veteran courts in a lot of jurisdictions in this state. It's, you're struggling because you don't have that order. Let us provide that order for you so you can get better.
Right. So then there's a talk about some of the weapons that are used in war, some of the chemicals and some of the stuff that happens when you soak that up. So this is a quote from Lieutenant Colonel Billings. He's a clinical psychologist from U.S. Army Reserve, retired. This is a quote. Ultimate testing ground for military. We have never drugged our troops to this extent, and the current increase in suicides is not a coincidence. Why hasn't psychiatry in the military been relieved of command of mental health services? And any other command position in the military, there would have been a change in leadership. And they call it the hidden enemy inside psychiatry's covert agenda. So the reason is and I pulled this up on the cchr.org if anybody wants to look up, but it's a super informative website, and it talks specifically about PTSD and the drugging of the military. In fact, the first chapter, the more information, is drugging the military profiting from PTSD. Now, that is one of the sick parts of PTSD, is that now our government can find a way to monetize treatment. And just like they do in the real world, just like court systems and everything else, just like you've seen, I'm sure, where everything gets monetized. But they
make money off of fucking these guys up.
Yeah. So PTSD, pathologizing war to sell drugs, psychiatric drugs causes suicide, and so not only on top of, I'm going to pull this up, but not only on top of the fact that the battle wounds, the battle scars that you don't see. I mean, the ones that you see are bad enough. Those are horrendous. People giving up their arms and legs and their lives. But the scars inside, the scars in their heart, the scars in their brains, the emotional scars that you can't see, that unfortunately not many people know how to deal with, they are profiting off of this through treatment and through budgets through the military, unfortunately. And they call it the hidden enemy, but there's no, like this guy's saying, it's not a coincidence that military suicides are up, and what was it, 22 a day? 22 military suicides a day, and it's not just PTSD, but that suicides are up way more than they've ever been. We have some active theaters of battle right now,
and we're largely bringing people home from non-war scenarios.
Right now we are. Now we still have Afghanistan going on.
Sure.
We still have people in Iraq. We have some people in Ukraine. But as far as like an active battlefield right now, we're not actually actively. What's that?
We're still in Syria.
We're barely in Syria. We're more peacekeepers. We're more of observing. Basically,
we have
we're
a very
advising.
small amount of troops.
Yeah, we got I think it's 1,800 troops there, and Trump even moved them out of what was supposed to be the path of attack. But the truth of the matter is because the mind is so in depth. So there's so much about the mind we don't understand. The correlation between battle injuries and injuries we don't see, and PTSD, the military, and then of course now with drugs, because now we've been calling for our VA to be more to be better and to treat these guys better and to take them in quicker and be able to handle them.
And
the
to
problem
understand
is
that trauma just doesn't come from battle.
Yeah, exactly. And trauma, and we can all speak to this. trauma for the military is one thing, but trauma with your home life, trauma with your interpersonal relations is a hard thing, because if you look at, and I'm going to ask you guys to keep an eye on this stuff. I know Caleb and people are saying stuff. If they say anything that we need to talk about, it'd be fine. But we got a lot of, was that about 20, 30 guys? Must be a fraternity. Hey, what frat are you guys? Sigma Chi. Okay, here we go. All right, Sigma Chi. Gotcha.
That's the first time I've never seen an entire frat yell their frat.
Right.
I don't think they were all. I think there were some hanger-ons, some friends. So anyway, so I couldn't get my thought out for that. But when we talk about PTSD, and Zach, in your case, you've dealt with PTSD.
Yeah.
You've dealt with it from abuse, suffered at the hands of people that supposedly loved you.
Yeah.
And then you were in state care for quite a while. Can you explain just a little bit about how you felt with PTSD? And I know you still deal with it, but sure. At the in the height of your fear and how you felt about it, because let's face it, there's healthy fear, there's bad fear. The healthy fear keeps you alive. Healthy fear keeps you safe and alive, which you develop through PTSD. Sometimes PTSD gives you that, but then there's the other fear, and let's talk about that for just a second, because I think there's some people out there that have never dealt with PTSD, that have never dealt with the ramifications, and the reason being is it's hard to paint a picture of battle for people.
Sure.
So I want to kind of save that for Ross, because Ross was right next to somebody when they perished. And he's started a charity for it, and he's an amazing guy. But let's talk about PTSD in general, and then we'll kind of correlate it with the military a little bit. But go ahead.
So when it comes down to like healthy fear, I mean, it keeps you on your toes. That's what it is. It keeps you on your toes, keeps you aware and safe. Now, like for myself, you mentioned we had about 20 guys in here. Mm-hmm. It's loud, it's chaotic, everybody's moving around. I haven't been able to sit still at all.
Anxious.
Yeah, I noticed that. You were really anxious. Yep. You messing with your phone, messing with that. And
oh, yeah. Like, I mean, I was ready to bounce.
Which is weird, because you're in here when it's crowded quite a bit.
But I'm in my chair.
So familiarity.
Yep.
Oh.
There's a reason I sit in that spot. That is mine. I have complete view of the bar with the mirror.
Okay.
I have complete view on my sides. Like, everything's fine. I have a 360. Right now, my back's up against a plate glass window.
I got your back. I got your six, man.
And you got me watching.
I got your six, man. You're good.
I got people back here. A wall's blocking most of them. I know there's a group of guys back there. Lord knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've been in, you know, group homes and foster homes and stuff where when you get a bunch of people together like that, someone's getting beat, someone's getting stomped, someone's getting hurt. So anytime that I don't feel like I have complete control, which in this situation I did not, and I appreciate you guys. I know, like, you guys got me here. Mm-hmm. I know that, but I don't have me here.
No, I know what you're saying.
You know, so like,
and no one can take that away from you.
Right.
So this developed this awareness that you have, which is, I would call this an awareness. Yeah. It's an uncomfortable feeling, but it also keeps you safe, right? Wouldn't you say that you're more alert to things in your surroundings?
Constantly.
So because of that, there's a good and bad side to it. We don't want we hate the bad side, period.
Well, sure.
But sometimes with PTSD, it's a protective thing, right? Yeah. So we go into our PTSD shell, and I think in the military, when we come out, PTSD protects us from the world.
Yeah. Protective state, total defense, new acronym.
Yeah, but
dude, that's awesome.
So what does PTSD stand for?
Post-traumatic stress disorder. But I prefer that one.
Yeah. So
protective state, total defense.
Okay. So when we talk about PTSD, and so if you're a woman and you've had PTSD, it can come from many things. It can come from abuse. It could come from, as some women have pointed out, and I've never actually. This is one thing that I've done throughout getting older, is I've learned to appreciate other points of view. And a woman pointed out to me in the bar one time that her PTSD is from things in the world, that just everyday things, like having people yell at her on the street, or
it's not necessarily things that happen to her.
Right, but leaving her apartment at night, you know, she has to go to the store. She's always aware, and she has PTSD because she's been attacked before.
Yeah, and I mean, this is. I mean, he's active duty. I've never been active duty, but it's so true. And he ended up putting one healthy fear I have is that Anywhere I go, especially with my wife, I'm very aware of my surroundings. So if something happens, I know how and where to react. One healthy fear I have is assuming that something is always about to happen, which in turn makes me very anxious and uncomfortable in large crowds.
So
A lot of people that haven't been in his situations also experience that,
Like-
and it's not wrong.
Oh no, like my house is actually set up in a defense style. It doesn't matter where I'm in my house,
Yeah.
I have something that's going to drop someone.
Well, you know what's funny is, not funny, but you know what's the interesting about this is Chris Monroe talks about this a lot. He and I are big Second Amendment proponents, and a lot of military
I'm
people
with
are,
dude.
right?
You saw how giddy I got when you brought in Henry.
Yeah. Chris talked about this, and it's a very good point. And what Caleb just talked about, what you talked about. I know in my home, you're very aware of where everything's at.
Yep.
And if all the lights go off, I know where everything's at. But that is a thing that I think PTSD brings about. And if you're if you try to put a positive spin on this, if you're trying to kind of figure out a way to kind of live within it, is you find the stuff that makes you better. And I think somebody that's suffering PTSD, God bless you, in your case too, and Caleb or everybody else, it's never fun. It's hard, and anybody that's got battle PTSD, where you have dreams of battles. You ever seen the movie Jacob's Ladder?
Oh
With,
god, yeah.
The psychosis that this
Or,
guy suffered
even,
from.
even just a more well-known one. If you just watch Brothers,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, and that was, and then he comes home and his brothers,
Yeah.
slept with his wife. But
Everybody's got a Jody.
but that's the thing is there's two sides to it. This is the one thing that didn't get talked about a lot, and I remember this from me getting out of the military and then being at the VFW, is there's the home front, right? And home front is the people that you have at home. So if you are suffering from PTSD, there's always somebody that may be close to you that's dealing with it on their end, and they're victims of it too. And that's the one thing, disease and disorders. It's not just the people. There's
Well,
the people around them that suffer too.
There's the plethora of things that it's
Plethora. I love that word.
Oh, it's a fantastic.
It's
word.
so
Great.
much different to say I am affected by this and I have to protect myself, and then go I'm affected by this and I have to protect everyone I love.
Right.
It's a different thing.
And that's where it's rough. Like anytime you get attached to someone, like I grew up in situations where I was constantly beat. I mean, I've been in comas. I've had more bones broken than any one person should, because these persons were supposed to protect me, and it wasn't that situation. When you get attached to someone, that person is a direct shut off of you.
You must protect this house.
Hands down. Hands down.
Yeah.
And that's why
you do stuff that it will linger on you till the day you die.
Well, and that's why people with PTSD, people that we're talking about military
Yeah.
per se, but in general, people with PTSD, when they find a friend that they trust, they lean into that person. Once you open up with somebody, like for example, if he's my battle buddy and I get back and he came back before me and I'm dealing with it, he's somebody I'm going to.
Yep.
Well, I mean, and the guy that killed Chris Kyle
Yeah.
was the same thing. Chris Kyle was someone that was mentoring these soldiers and these Marines that coming back from battle, and he'd take them to the range and they'd shoot and they'd talk about life and trying to get. And this guy was dealing with major PTSD, major problems, and he killed Chris Kyle, and that was his way of, I guess, acting out. But the bottom line is to. It's hard, and you can watch a movie and you can listen to stories all you want, but it's hard to really give paint that picture for somebody of what it's like to be sitting next to your buddy and have that buddy get blown apart, and then you have to come back to life.
And man, unless you've experienced that, how can you possibly relate to it?
You can't.
I've never experienced that, and I don't think I could ever touch that.
Well, I was watching
feeling.
a documentary, and this is, and I only say documentary because documentaries, if you watch the good ones, they really mean a lot. But they were talking about PTSD, and they did a comparison between a lady that lost her family in a car accident, and they talked to a soldier. And the soldier and the lady were sitting in the room. I don't remember what it was called, but they're talking, and it's black and white, and they're talking to an interviewer, and they're telling their story, and they're both kind of breaking down and being upset. But they're kind of doing it in a mirror, and they've got one on one side and one on the other. And the stories, even though the story, the synopsis is different, the emotions are the same, and you could see the same emotion coming out of each person. And
I lost somebody for something I can't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, and especially in battle, when you're talking about relying on someone that has, like you talk about, has your back, that's going to die for you.
Yep.
And that's where family, like you come back and you were talking about, like I would, with no thought at all, die for my family. With no thought.
No hesitation.
No hesitation. No like, oh, if I die, who's going to be here to... No, you don't think that way. You think that person's going to hurt my family, so I'm going to sacrifice myself and protect them.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point is when you're a soldier, when you're over there in battle, in fear, those people are your family.
That's true.
They're all you have.
It's very true.
And you have to protect each other.
You literally, and that is why you're so hard on each other too. That's one thing about the military. It's the most
I want
pride
to
you
know the dude that's watching my 6 has fucking got my 6.
If I'm
not-
talking
yes.
about the people I'm hardest on in my life, it's me, my family, and other people. And it's the same thing.
If I'm sitting, and I'll put it this way, my example of being underneath the flight deck on that hose, the guy behind me is supposed to be my backup. So if I get weak or fall down, he's supposed to slide up and take my place. If I can't count on that guy to get my back and drag me out of the shitstorm, I could catch on fire and die on a flight deck.
And at the same time, he's supposed to be protecting you.
Yeah, and that's the thing is if you've in life, and you know we've been talking about the military, but in life, when you find someone that you know has your back, when is not out to backstab or to manipulate, is just there for you. That is a legitimate rare. I'm trying to tell people, if you've never found somebody like that, and you do find them, hold on to those people. If you find someone that doesn't take advantage of you, that doesn't lie, that doesn't manipulate, that doesn't treat you, and they are there for you, never let that go. I don't care if it's family or a friend.
Which is also another thing to come back to and not have.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. If you coming back for the military and you don't have something like that to come back to, that's where this
whole support system that is gone.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. So many of those folks come back and, you know, they had a girlfriend that's gone. Their family's like, well, I haven't known you for 4 years. Who are you now?
And you're different. You are. I mean, you don't come back the same person after 4 years.
So-
how do you deal with
I'm going to give a number real quick. This is from the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. And I want to give this to any military spouse or military member that's out there, or if you happen to be watching or you know somebody. This is confidential help for veterans and their families. It's a completely anonymous line. You don't have to give any information out. It's 1-800-273-8255, or it's veteranscrisisline.net. So that's 1-800-273-8255 or veteranscrisisline.net. You can call that or go online for this. You can go on and be anonymous, and they're going to give you resources and sources of help for you guys and girls. And then I want to talk about something before I read this little thing. I want to speak directly about females in the military, because as a male, it's hard to understand this. But here, if you've ever watched a movie where it centers on a female in the military, there's always the normal male-female issues, the sexism,
Just
and all
look at
that.
G.I. Jane. It's
Yeah,
so
G.I.
well known.
Jane or the General's Daughter,
That was a great one.
that kind of stuff. I actually went Tybee Island. There's a place
Really?
in Tybee Island where they filmed that water scene where
Yeah.
the boat's coming in. Yeah, but anyway, I want to speak directly about that because I don't think it's talked enough about it. Even though when you're a soldier, whether you're a girl or a guy, it doesn't matter. But I want to speak directly about that for the spouses and the family, the females that are at home, that are the support system for these soldiers and Marines and men and women that are coming home. You guys are sometimes their only salvation that they know. And if you don't understand what's going on, and a lot of times you can read all the brochures you want to read and you can hear all the advice you want to hear, but if you don't know what's going on, it's foreign to you and it's scary. Call the number that I gave you. It's 1-800-273-8255.
It's in the comments.
Veterans.
I put it in the
Oh, you put it in. Okay, cool. Check the comments. You'll get both those numbers and the website. Go on there, and they'll have lots of resources for you. But I want to talk about the ladies. God bless everybody that goes to the military. But for women that go in and want to be in a combat theater combat, I have a special respect for that, because you're not the military's favorite. I'm not saying that to be mean. It's just the way it is. The world, whether we want to admit it or not, views women as the weaker sex, and it's not acceptable, and it's not how it should be, but it is how it is. So a lot of times women go in the military and they are put upon and talked down to and treated. So for all of you ladies out there that have gone to the military and you're still in there kicking it, man, God bless you for sticking it out, because I knew a couple of females in the military, and you got to be tough, man. You got to be tough.
Candace Jones, props to you.
Or to be honest, be tough or be a hoe. I'm just being real.
You got one of the other.
I'm just being real. I'm being real with it, and I found that out. You either had the ones that were tough and stood up to it, or ones that gave in and just said, "Okay, well, this is how I'm going to get by." And unfortunately, that's the way they're made to feel. And I'm just being real about it. It's
Which
a sucky
is awful
thing.
because a soldier should not
No.
have to delineate between genders.
There should not be sex
Not
at
at all.
all. There
Nope.
should be no sexuality at all.
Soldiers.
They're soldiers, but therein lies the rub in the fact that
I didn't say it this time.
the reason that the military has been so resistant to females in combat is because of the physical requirements.
Yeah.
And like we talked about, you want to know that your buddy's got your back. Well, if I am in the military and there's a female that's my foxhole mate, I trust her to kill for me and to protect me, but can she carry me from that foxhole?
Well, I think that should be less a sex thing and more a limited physical requirement kind of thing. Like if you can drag something that weighs this much this far, then you're good. If you can't, then you can't.
Which is
There
why
are men that can't.
let's
You
think
gotta
about
think about that. Think about a frail ass dude who's like tiny. He can't do the same
Which
thing.
is
You know what
why
I mean? Like,
women now are straight up saying, I can do this or I can't do that. And they're asking women, can you do this? And they show they can do it, then they have every right to be there too.
But let's think about it psychologically too. I've never been in the military, but there is no one on this planet that can whip me into shape like a woman.
Well,
My
That's
mom
called
did it for
pussy.
years. My wife does it now. It's not a pussy. It's me listening
tell
to
you
what's
something.
told to me.
I know, but listen, I'm gonna be honest. We try to be real honest on the show. So in boot camp, the lieutenant of my division, right? We were Division 7, and I was in Company 182. Our lieutenant was a female, and she was gorgeous. I mean, movie star pretty, no joke, and in shape. So we didn't know who she was.
Wasn't there a scene about this in A Few Good Men?
I'm just saying, no.
Taking orders from
Listen,
a woman first thing in the
I'm
morning.
not lying to you. So the first time we see her is we have this 6-week physical test that we have to do. It's this big thing. We got to run and push-ups and all that stuff outside. It's the first time we ever meet her. And she comes out and we don't know who she is. She's not in uniform. She's in just workout clothes. And this is when we were still wearing the little kind of short shorts and stuff, these blue Navy shorts. And here's this woman comes out, and we've been no women at all for 6 weeks. And here we are doing push-ups. We look back, and here's this super in shape.
You're doing push-ups without your hands.
Something. But I remember
muscle.
we're standing there.
We'll have to do one, you know?
We're all on teams and stuff, and we're all standing there with our white T-shirts on, and I think some of us had the different colored vests on to be on different teams. And I remember standing there looking, and I'm like, we're all like, who's this? And then she gets introduced, and they say, this is Lieutenant, whatever. And she stands up there, and as soon as she starts talking, we can tell she's an officer the way she talks. And my first thought was, I'm so happy to be in this military right now. I'm so happy. And of
Would
course,
she have had that effect as a man? No, she would not.
if with me,
Yeah.
no, there was some.
I don't know. He was the number one hose guy.
There were some in shape dudes around me, and I was one of them. But no, guys didn't have that effect. I'm just saying, yes, when G.I. Jane and I don't care with the bald head or not, Demi Moore.
Demi Moore, bro.
Oh my goodness!
Woo-hoo.
Look, there's something very sexy about a powerful woman. I'm
Sure.
just saying. I don't think Hillary Clinton's sexy at all.
Well,
But-
you said powerful woman.
But Tulsi Gabbard, I'm sorry. She's okay. Not only is she super smart, she's a combat veteran, but good God, she's beautiful.
I don't like a lot of her points, but I listen.
Oh,
to her.
I don't.
'Cause she's
Listen.
commanding. She's very commanding.
Listen, I don't
I
like all
always
of
look
her
at her
points.
eyes.
I don't like all of her points either, but she's also she has some common sense issues.
She
that
does.
talks
She does.
about.
And you have
But
to listen to that.
I'm saying right now. What is it with these U-turns tonight, guys? College kids don't want to
That's
drive.
a cop.
No, that's not a cop. That guy comes down there all the time.
Cops
It's not St. Louis, man. In St. Louis, they do U-turns all the time. You ever been downtown St. Louis?
Yeah, you flip
People
a
just,
bitch.
oh, yeah, it's crazy. But look, I'm going to read this thing real quick. I kind of got sexist there for a while. Sorry for any woman that was out there that felt like I was being sexist.
Same.
I'm not.
I didn't say anything.
All right. So you did not. That's why women like you, man. All right.
Is that why?
Yes. It has nothing to do with you being cute or anything.
Fuck you.
The life.
The merman hair.
It is. It's the merman hair. The life of a soldier is demanding. You're trained to be alert, decisive, and focused, and in top physical and mental shape. It's a necessity. But soldiers operating under the influence of psychiatric drugs reflect just the opposite. Nevertheless, military electronic records show that at least 1 in 6 service members have been on some form of psychotropic drug. 1 in 6. This ratio is probably vastly understated, as prescription records are not kept on the front lines, where drugs are often informally passed out by medics between fellow soldiers. So
That was pervasive in World War II.
It was. Well, and it was actually used in Vietnam to keep people in country longer.
Absolutely.
Morphine and psychotropics, LSD, were used to just keep you on a trip. The risk of taking psychotropic drugs have long been known.
Do you mean the pun there?
Yes. Okay. Sometimes I do those and I don't, but that time I did. With antidepressants, there are now nearly 100 drug regulatory agency warnings from 10 countries and the European Union alerting prescribers and patients to the drug's adverse effects, including hostility, violent behavior, and suicide, which is not what you need in the military.
Nope.
Though none of this drugging truly serves the active duty soldier or veteran, the U.S. Department of Defense, the DoD, and the Veteran Affairs, the VA, has spent almost $2 billion with a B since 2001 to treat mental disorders. This astonishing sum is not unique to the United States. Every year, the Australian Department of Veteran Affairs spends $160 million on mental health for its veterans.
I would think the Israeli numbers would be high as well.
Yeah, even so, considerable psychiatric expenditures like these in militaries around the world have done nothing to reduce the rate of hospitalization of active troops for mental health problems. On top of this, suicide rates continue to escalate. So let's just dive into that real quick. We have about 13 minutes left. And this is something that I agree with Tom Cruise on. Tom Cruise is a Scientology guy, and he's an actor and all this stuff. But Scientology has a big thing on psychotropic drugs and psychiatrists. They don't believe in them. They
Mormons as well.
Yeah, and they think it's a pseudoscience. And I think it hurts people. And I agree with him about psychotropic drugs. And here's the problem: is if you are in the military and you're given these medicines, these meds, these psychotropic meds, to help you function in that high level stress, what happens when you come home? What happens? You're not de-stressed. You know from PTSD, you don't de-stress.
No.
You just find a way to cope, kind of. And sometimes it's self-medicating. Sometimes it's through the glass. Sometimes it's through the pipe. Sometimes it's through a pill.
And sometimes it's awful.
Sometimes
it's awful.
Well, and sometimes you just...
It's a bullet.
It's a bullet. And that's the problem is the suicide rates continue to escalate in spite of the fact that we're prescribing mental health psychotropics at a much higher level. So there's a correlation between that and that. And here's my thing. There were a lot of suicides out of Vietnam. Vietnam was a terrible war. Nobody thought most people didn't think we should have been in it. And then
piece of shit conflict.
When people got back, they were treated like dogs. They were treated like less than human.
Dogs.
My dad and mom came
Which
home.
was a
Now they are.
thing. It wasn't their decisions to be making. You know what I mean?
No.
You can't blame. Yeah, it was disgusting what they did to veterans.
But it was the only. It was the first time. Now, even in Korea, they didn't do that to them. Korea was before Vietnam. But Korea wasn't even like that because we were helping. Here's the thing: if it wasn't for the United States, there would be no South Korea. Everybody knows that. We were there in country, and we made sure South Korea was protected. Otherwise, it would have been wiped off the map.
Yeah.
So we are the reason South Korea is there. They're capitalist, and they trade with us.
Or even worse, those people would be slaves like the people north of them.
Exactly, and there would be the East German, West German thing. But the bottom line is what do you do if you're a military member and you are in country and your medic in unit and comes up to you and says, "You all right, man?" And he's like, "Man, I'm stressed, man. Can't sleep. You got to get up at 5 a.m. for watch, and you can't be sleepy on watch. Watch is one of the most boring but stressful times, and I'll tell you what it is. You literally, in the Navy, it was 45 minutes at a time. You was 45 minutes at one station, then you went to the next. You got relieved if you were lucky. But you weren't supposed to do more than 4 hours at a time, and that's how it's supposed to be in every military. The Marines have that during battle. They even have that broken up more. But when you're on watch, typically you're by yourself. Maybe you have one other person there. You're typically in the dark, or it's in bad areas. You're not typically, it's not well lit. It's not well, insulated. It's in a bad situation, and you're left with your thoughts. And if
Which is a dangerous thing in a stressful
very
situation.
dangerous. And not only that, but everybody knows depression causes you to be tired. It wears you out. You know from this, being depressed, and I think you've probably suffered from this.
Oh, yeah.
Depression just sucks your energy.
I get depressed.
Yeah.
Dude,
I don't
the
know
thing
why.
you-
If I looked like you, I'd never be depressed.
Fuck you.
The thing you tagged me in today was fucking spot on.
What was it?
The Joker.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I'm a guy, so
Right?
Yeah, yeah. So let's just. I'm going to finish with this, and then we'll finish the conversation out. Between 2001 and 2009, there were 2,100 suicides in the U.S. military. In the military, triple the number of troops that died in Afghanistan, and half of all American deaths in Iraq. During that same period, military orders for psychiatric drugs known to cause suicidal thoughts and acts increased by 76%. American vets have it even worse. One U.S. military veteran kills himself every 65 minutes. An astonishing 22 a day.
That's two of our brothers and sisters that we've lost while we've been sitting
It's
here
sickening, man. It's sickening. It's sad, and I'm going to tell you, I talked about my own depression and my own suicidal thoughts and my attempts, but it's nothing like that. Like I can honestly say mine was life. I was a depressed teenager and I had a lot of things going on, molested and all this stuff, but I can't imagine military depression. I can't imagine a PTSD at that level where you're better off being done. And so for anyone out there, and God bless you, but for anybody out there that's dealing with this, whether you are that person or whether you're in close proximity or that's somebody you love, there is help out there. And then we put the number in the comments, but I'm going to say it again. The number is 1-800-273-8255. You press 1 when you call that, or you can get on veteranscrisisline.net. This is emergency help that you don't have to give your name. It's fully confidential. You could tell them what's going on. And listen, I'm not anybody special, but I will tell you this right now. If you are a man or woman out there and you're dealing with any kind of depressive issue, man, and if there's anything that I can do,
My phone's always on.
Yeah, I'm not a medical professional, but I'm going to tell you what, I get a lot more help psychologically from people like Zach and Matt and Cody than I do from a doctor.
The only thing that matters is you being here tomorrow.
Yeah, that is what matters. And here's the thing. When you're at the point in your life where you try to, and I don't know if you guys have ever been here before, you try to evaluate your life and you try to put value into why you're still here. And that's what I had to do several times. As a service person, you're sitting somewhere right now and you're trying to value yourself and what place you have in the world. And if you have dealt with mental health issues in the military and now you're out and you're sitting there and you're trying to value what you are, listen to me, man, woman, whoever you are super valuable. And I say that, I'm not trying to be silly about that, I'm just saying you did something that not many people in this world can do. And the value that you have in this world is incalculable.
All of you have skills.
Is that a word, incalculable?
Yes.
Is it? Thank you, Matt.
There's an extra C, incalculable.
Incalculable. That's what I said.
I think you messed out the second C.
No, I said it.
No,
Don't question me.
Oh, fuck no. Oh, fuck no.
No.
You doing this now?
But here's the thing.
Jeff?
Here's the thing. And we always kind of get lighthearted and stuff, but my whole point to this is, and I want everybody to understand that no matter who you are, whether it's military or not, there is hope and there is something else out there. And like Zach said, we're right here at Shakers. If there's anybody ever that needs to talk, you could contact me on the Shakers page anytime. I'm up at all hours. If you just want someone to just vent to, I don't care. But my thing is, the worst thing is, like Matt said, the most important thing is that you're here tomorrow. And sometimes just getting through the hour is what you need. But if you are in that cycle of taking psychotropic meds and you're not getting better, you're constantly just putting a Band-Aid on the big problem, there are other ways to fix it. And, you know, I would like to help you find that. One of us would like to help you find that. But God bless you, and I say God bless you because God gives me hope. Whatever can give you hope in this world, whatever can give you something to look forward to, think about that and think about who will miss you.
Let me piggyback on that real quick. I'm a Christian just like Eric is, and in my God, hope springs eternal. You don't have to believe in God. Hope still springs eternal. I will show you that.
So, just for next...
I also think, real quick, just to butt in too,
No, go ahead.
I think another really good program they could like start in the military, as far as veterans coming back, I think there should be more like veterans jobs set aside for people who come back after active military and need something to fucking commit their life to. You know what I mean?
A lot of companies do that, and people just need to be pointed to them.
It needs to be done more, though.
Yes.
Like, and it needs to. I think, like, it's this is the government supplied soldier. You know what I mean? Like, they should have jobs in the government for somebody who's like a veteran active military.
And
like,
connections outside of it as
give
well.
them something to do. Let them be more involved in the community. Let them teach seminars. Let them feel like they have a purpose to be doing something, and that'll fucking go a million ways farther than any kind of psychiatric drugs will. Like,
So from CCHR.org, the military's antipsychotic drugs problem, Seroquel or Seroquel is what they said. Between 2005 and 2011, the rate of antipsychotic drug use in the U.S. military rose 1,100%. Far exceeding comparable rates in the civilian population. 7 different countries, as well as the European Union, have issued total of 55 warnings about the harmful side effects of antipsychotic drugs, including 12 warnings of death and sudden death, 11 warnings of heart problems, 6 warnings of withdrawal symptoms, 6 warnings of convulsions, seizures, and tremors, and 5 warnings of diabetes.
This is not bashing the medication.
No, but
it's in
we've
addition
got to be real.
to you need to have something else.
The antipsychotic Seroquel, which many people take, is especially implicated in cardiac arrest and sudden deaths of combat veterans. Known to soldiers as Seroquel, it is often prescribed to treat insomnia, an indication for which is not approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Not that another brand of antipsychotic would be preferable. A recent study in New England Journal of Medicine reports that all drugs in the class double the risk of sudden cardiac arrest. So not only are you dealing with mental and emotional issues, but you're dealing with health issues. And when these drugs are given to large numbers of military personnel, what begins as a risk can lead to a wide-scale tragedy. According to investigations by neurologist Dr. Fred Ballman, as many as 351 soldiers have died from cardiac arrest after ingesting drug cocktails containing antipsychotics and antidepressants. This phenomena is no coincidence when contrasted to a 2004 study that found that only 59 non-traumatic cardiac deaths related to exercising among U.S. military recruits from 97 to 2001. So the whole point to this is I'm trying to let you guys know and give you information is if you're taking certain medicines right now, first of all, be your own advocate. Look up the information about these meds, study their effects. I know that doctors will not always tell you the side effects because...
Ask questions.
Ask a lot of questions. And like Cody said many times, you've got the internet right in front of you, and trust me, as much crap as is on there, there's a lot of good stuff that will give you information. And there are several websites you can go to that will tell you specifically what drugs can do to you, and also stories and case studies from people that suffered from this and dealt with it and survived. So if you are taking antipsychotics right now because it's your only way of getting through your day, like Cody said, there's other stuff that you can do. There's other sources for you. Look on our message board. We put the number. I'm going to give it to you one more time before we close out. It's 1-800-273-8255. Press 1 when you call it. Or you can get online to veteranscrisisline.net if you are a veteran in need of help, or a family member or a friend of a veteran. So this show is a little bit about that. I can't wait to get Ross on to tell us some stories. He started a local charity. I think it's called Heroes Way. Really doing a lot of good work locally for people that have service-connected injuries and also have, PTSD. So we'll get him on here pretty soon. His job right now for the next 2 weeks is super busy, but he's going to come on after. But guys, I appreciate you all tuning in every week. This was a good episode, a very important episode. Next week's episode is going to be really cool. It's Thursday, which is Thanksgiving. That's going to be at the bar.
I will be here now, by the way.
Oh, you will?
Yes.
So it's
Unless you don't need me.
no. Come because you can sit. It's going to be at the bar.
Oh, sweet.
So you can
I
sit
might
right
be
at the
here.
bar
I
and
don't know if
drink.
I'm gonna be able to make my mom's
So
Thanksgiving.
it'll be a fun night. It's not going to be serious at all. It'll be a fun conversational night. Chris Monroe will be behind the bar, and we know when Big Chris is into talking and doing stuff.
Slinging a lot of whiskey and cokes this
Slinging
Thursday.
a lot of whiskey and Cokes Thursday. But it is Thanksgiving, and we know that you're going to be with your families, but we are going to be open after. And Chris, we call it Wild Turkey with Monroe, Wild Turkey with Chris. And so come down, visit us on Thursday. We're going to be shooting the show at the bar itself, which is a new setting for us.
Sweet.
So you'll be able to sit up there, and we're just going to have conversations.
We're going to need you to set the show up in accordance to where my seat is.
Of course. I
Fantastic.
think we've already covered
I
that.
support you.
I don't want you feeling all antsy by sitting down here at this end. But it's funny, though, before we close out, to see you walk in and then you look and see somebody sitting in your seat. You, like, stop for a second. You're like,
Motherfucker.
I don't know what to do. Like, it's just
Way to be the background voice all night long.
Right?
yeah,
You've
you filled it
been
in,
solid
man.
on
solid.
Like, if we had like cartoon bubbles, it'd be Cody writing in them going, mother.
Can we do that? I would do that.
Yeah, anyway.
Right.
Folks, you've been watching Session Stream Live from Shaker's Bar, downtown Cape. It's the only talk show like this that I've ever seen anywhere. So you guys are part of that. This was episode 19.
Don't close it. Don't close
You
it.
can check. I'm not yet. You can check us out on YouTube also. I'll get Jay to put the link on there again. I share these with YouTube, so you can watch it on our YouTube channel. If we can get 1,000 subscribers, we can start doing YouTube Live, which is when the money comes in. Which none of these guys make any money, folks. We do this for free. We do it because we care.
You guys aren't getting money?
That wasn't for this, Cody. That wasn't for this, Cody. That was for something else. Yeah. But anyway, you don't want me to close out. You got something you want to say?
Don't close it.
Okay.
We also have live music on.
That is true. On Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Hey.
On Thursday, in addition to having the 8 to 10 or 7 to 9, depending on what we do, probably 8 to 10, we will have live music from Alec Umfleet. I
With
forgot.
a golden
I did.
boy himself.
The amazing. He's performed for the show before.
Yes.
And then he got super popular and
I think a
busy.
couple times, actually.
Yeah, he came twice. But he got super popular and busy. So I told him I'll give you a couple bucks and give you a drink or two and let him come down and perform. But he'll be here in real kind of casual form, doing some originals and covers. And Alec is phenomenal. So it'll be a cool night down here.
And if I have enough to drink that night, I will also do unsanctioned karaoke with no music.
Nice.
Up on the stage.
Nice. I don't think it'll
We
be
can make
unsanctioned.
that
We could
happen.
probably
Sing-along.
actually.
Sounds like a
Hey,
sing-along
man,
kind
if
of.
Yeah.
you're going
Sing
to play
along.
music, I will sing
Follow
with
the
it.
bouncing ball.
Well, we'll do like I did with Cody one night. Cody was sitting back here having a good time, and I brought the mic to him, and he just sang along with the song on the system. So we'll do that.
You
But
have
anyway,
the mic, I'm singing that shit.
that's
This
right.
is how it goes.
So Alec Unfleet will be here Thursday night, Thanksgiving, after he has his family
Immensely
time.
talented.
Immensely talented. We'll be doing the show from the bar actually over there. So join us at the bar. Be part of the conversation. Actually, we'll probably get more people to the conversation because I'm going to kind of move the camera around, so it should be a lot of fun. So it should be a great night Thursday for the show next week. But you've been watching Sessions from Shakers. We appreciate y'all stopping by every Thursday. Spread the word. Please share the episodes so you can get the word out there. We've got a lot of people watching. They're having a lot of fun with the show. Share it and then send us information if you want to just do a certain topic or if you want to be a guest on the show. Contact us and let us know. I'm Eric. That's Zach. That's Cody. That's Matt. And we'll see you real soon. Thanks a lot, guys.
Have a good night.